Day of the government shutdown, his latest efforts to get rid of dark money in politics, and what losing SNAP benefits tomorrow means for millions of Americans. It's all ahead, 11 o'clock hour at BPR and GBH and NEPM, live from the Boston Public Library.
Live from NPR News in Washington, I'm Corva Coleman. Amid the government shutdown, the White House confirms that military personnel are being paid today. While members of Congress remain deadlocked over reopening the government, the Trump administration is moving money around to selectively fund military pay, but not other programs. NPR's Danielle Kurtzleben has more.
An Office of Management and Budget spokesperson confirms reporting originally done by Axios, saying that the agency is using around $5 billion from a military housing fund, a military research and development fund, and a Defense Department account used for building ships. NPR asked if part of the money is also coming from a $130 million donation made by a billionaire Trump ally, but the OMB did not respond. Trump has said he thinks he can cut, quote, Democrat programs during the shutdown but fund others. Tomorrow, funding for the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, which feeds low-income families, is set to lapse. Danielle Kurtzleben, NPR News.
More than 40 million Americans depend on federal food assistance or SNAP benefits to buy groceries every month. Agriculture Secretary Brooke Rollins is blaming Democrats for the impasse over government funding.
We are here today because SNAP benefits run dry tomorrow. So the truth has finally revealed itself, hasn't it? Democrat support for programs like SNAP is now reduced to cynical control over people's lives. This last month has shown that the party who constantly says it puts people over politics does the complete opposite.
Democrats are demanding that Republican lawmakers first restore mammoth cuts to federal health care spending. They say Republicans' actions will force Americans off health insurance and deprive millions of people of medical care. Israel says it has received the bodies of 2 male hostages killed in Gaza during the 2-year-long war. For every hostage body returned to Israel, 15 Palestinian bodies are returned to Gaza. NPR's Aya Batrawi has the latest on this fragile phase of the ceasefire.
Israel says it's confirmed the identities of the 2 hostage bodies. One was an elder founder of Kibbutz Nir Oz, an Israeli community near Gaza's border that was attacked by Hamas gunmen on October 7, 2023. Israel says he was murdered in captivity. The other hostage returned for burial in Israel was taken from another kibbutz that same day. The Israeli military says he was murdered during an attempt to rescue him, but provided no further details. In return, Israel released the bodies of 30 Palestinians on Friday. Many of the bodies returned by Israel to Gaza in these exchanges have borne signs of torture and execution, according to the health ministry's forensics and photos. Israel says 11 bodies of hostages still remain in Gaza. Hamas says it needs time to recover more bodies. Aya Batrawi, NPR News.
On Wall Street at this hour, the Dow Jones Industrial Average is up more than 82 points. The tech-heavy Nasdaq is up nearly 300 points. This is NPR.
Good morning. With the latest from the GBH Newsroom, I'm Henry Santoro. The Boston School Committee has signed off on a new contract through the end of the decade for Boston Public School Superintendent Mary Skipper. Globe reports the contract includes a nearly 15% pay raise. The school committee's Wednesday night vote, which raised Skipper's total compensation to over $393,000 for the 25-26 school year, came one day after Boston Mayor Michelle Wu praised Skipper's leadership of the schools, which she says has been doing since 2022. Harvard Square will be alive tonight with costume contests, themed menus at restaurants, and deals galore as local businesses celebrate Halloween. For the 3rd year in a row, the restaurant Harvest will host a 5-course Halloween-themed dinner that they're calling the Twilight Dine, based off the 1960s television series The Twilight Zone. Harvard students can snag desserts and listen to eerie organ music at the Harvard Organ Society's Halloween recital in the Memorial Church Sanctuary tonight. And film buffs can watch a matinee screening of Bram Stoker's Dracula at the Brattle Theater. For families with children, the O'Connell and Central Square Library branches will hold Halloween celebrations with crafts and stories this afternoon. And for the 21-plus crowd, Grafton Street, a pub near the Harvard Kennedy School campus, hosts its annual Nightmare on Grafton Street tonight, a celebration from 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. And the J.P. Licks on Mass Ave near Harvard Yard will hand out 50 free ice cream tickets to the first 50 trick-or-treaters to stop by. This is GBH News.
Support for NPR comes from NPR stations. Other contributors include Focus Features with Begonia, starring Emma Stone and Jesse Plemons, directed by Yorgos Lanthimos, in theaters everywhere today. And listeners like you who donate to this NPR station.
Here's Jim Browdy. I am Marjorie Egan. Happy Halloween.
Happy
Jim
Halloween,
Browdy.
Marjorie and everybody.
You are listening to BPR and GBH and NEPM. We are finally here back at the Boston Public Library. We're thrilled to be here. We're also streaming at youtube.com/GBH News. Saturday Night Live star and Senator Sheldon Whitehouse is going to zoom in at 11:35 today. A couple more programming notes. All here at the library. The Attorney General, Andrea Campbell, will be with us here on Tuesday the 11th. Senator Ed Markey will be here that same Tuesday at noon. And
He's zooming in. He will not physically be here.
He's zooming in.
Yep.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And the governor will be here in person right
That
here
is
at the
correct.
library on Wednesday o'clock. That's the day after the Tuesday.
Okay, we're really rolling
I'm
here.
sure you're clear about that.
I'm sorry. What was that
I think
again?
this is next Tuesday. Is this next Tuesday?
No, it's
next
not
Wednesday?
next. No, it is next. Yes. What
It's
day
next-
is the governor coming?
The governor's coming Wednesday at 11, but I'm not sure of the date.
Okay,
Next
next
week.
Wednesday.
Next Wednesday.
Next week.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Okay.
I couldn't find my password, Jim.
Well,
The
let me tell you the
computer.
good news. We
I was
only
a
have to
little
make it
flustered.
through another 2 hours and 52 minutes,
Okay.
and then we'll be
Got
free.
the password. Thank you, Maddie.
So you finally made it to the moldiest of BPR chestnuts, the day some of us have been either waiting for or dreading for weeks, Marjorie. That's right. Today is our twice annual daylight saving debate on BPR.
Yeah.
In the wee hours of Sunday this week, and the lunacy continues, we once again turn our clocks back an hour to standard time for reasons no one completely understands. Something about the farmers from the 1770s, or the kids at the bus stop, or for everyone who gets a kick out of seeing the sun go down at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. If you're even still listening to my voice, Marjorie, I
Yes.
do not want to go back. I want more sun all the time. Permanent daylight saving time would get us there. I know that to be the truth. 877-301-8970. I am calling yet again with Senator Ed Markey, I should say, for permanent, and Senator Marco Rubio, who is now Secretary of State. Permanent daylight saving time. What is your position? The one issue I will say everybody agrees on, including Trump, by the way, is that we should not be switching the clocks. He doesn't want daylight saving time year-round. It's saving without an S, by the way. He wants standard time year-round. He is wrong about that. But you know what happens when you switch the clocks? Heart attacks, car accidents, etc. 877-301-8970. Now, this is, let me explain to you for those who are new to the show.
Yep.
This is where Marjorie attempts to make an argument against
Jim?
my position,
You know what?
even though she has no idea why she opposes my
what?
position.
I'm so tired of talking about this subject that whatever you want. You want daylight saving time? You don't want daylight
Good.
saving time?
I
You can
do.
have it.
I want
and you know what
daylight
else I
saving
don't
time.
want?
Yeah.
I don't want you constantly telling people, it's daylight saving time, not daylight savings time. There's no S on the end.
Well, you know
People
why I
wanna
tell
put-
people?
Yeah.
Because there is no S
Okay,
on the
well,
end.
if they want to put an S on the end, that's just fine with me. Whatever you want, Jim. We've been doing this forever, and I regret to tell you, you're not making much progress here.
I don't care.
Exactly.
thank you.
Exactly.
I don't care.
You know,
Okay, fine.
some people would like to get an extra hour of sleep on Saturday night. That would be nice.
Let me
wouldn't
ask
it?
you something, Marjorie, that I ask you every year, or every
Yeah.
6 months we discuss this thing. Let's assume we had a meeting at work on Monday afternoon, okay? And we left at 3:40 in the afternoon, and it was pitch black outside. How would you feel about that?
Well, you're exaggerating. It's
3:45.
It's not.
3:50.
I think it's at least 4 o'clock.
Okay,
before it's
4
pitch black.
o'clock. You leave at 4 o'clock and it's pitch black.
Like
How do
I
you feel
said,
about
Jim,
that?
I feel terrible because I know that's what you want me to say, that I would feel terrible.
Okay.
My day would be ruined.
Now,
My day would be ruined.
Aiden, our colleague, just typed me a very offensive note. What he said was he heard an audible groan from the audience of the library when I said we'd be talking about daylight saving time. Who is happy that we're talking about daylight saving time? One woman, about
there
11
you go.
people. And who is unhappy that we're talking about daylight saving? You can leave now, sir.
most
Thank
people
you very
don't care.
much.
And then you can tell people about your ridiculous idea about what little
not
children,
ridiculous.
what little children need because they're going to be getting on the bus in the dark.
Right. Okay, first of all, I will give you two answers to that. The
You know,
primary...
in Detroit, it doesn't get light till 9 o'clock in the morning.
I don't
you know.
care when it gets light.
9
Now,
o'clock in the morning. It's a
let me
long
explain
time to
this
be in the
you.
dark.
If you read my piece in the Boston Globe
It's brilliant.
in 2022,
Yeah, brilliant.
I quoted Glenn Kuchar. You know who Glenn Kuchar is?
He used to be the school committee guy or something.
Well,
head
he
of
was on the
education or
Cambridge School
something.
Committee. He is still the statewide executive director of the
Okay.
Mass Association of School Committees. He supports my position despite your BS about kids. You know why? He said because it might force the legislature to do what they should do, which is start school later.
Oh, okay.
So if that's an
But
impetus
in
for
the
that,
meantime, you have this crazy
Well, I have a great idea.
that what the state will do is buy all the little kids these
Taxpayer
little teeny
money,
tiny miner's hats
with a light on it.
to stand out
Exactly.
on the bus stop
What's the
in the
problem with
morning.
that?
No, I just like I said, Jim, whatever you want. I've given up. Whatever you want.
Good.
877-301-8970.
You know what the vote in the United States Senate was a couple of years ago in favor of my and Ed Markey's position?
Jim, I regret to tell you I do not.
Well, take a guess. How many members of the Senate are there?
100.
How many people voted for it?
Oh, maybe 49?
I'd say 100.
Really?
And
100?
Now, in all fairness,
Then
apparently
what happened?
most people didn't know they were voting for it. I mean, that is true. No, Nancy Pelosi, your hero, blocked its vote in the House.
That's what it is. Well, I'm surprised she did, because usually it's the coastal people that want the change,
Well,
and the
it was a
people in the
big
middle of the
mistake.
country that don't want the change, because they don't want to have all that loss of sunlight in poor Detroit and Indianapolis, Jim.
And by the way, there is we spoke to Kelly Beatty, whom we both admire greatly from Sky and Telescope.
Yep.
He, of course, has the wrong position on this. However, and what he did say, which is true, there is a climate benefit if the lights, it's modest, but nevertheless, considering that Trump is, going back to the 1700s on climate stuff, a little benefit to the climate by having it be light later, so you don't have to turn electricity on. Is that not a good thing?
No, that's a very good thing. As I said, Jim, I'm with you. I'm with you now. Whatever you want, and I mean, people have heard this so many times. We have done this twice a year for as long as I've been on the radio with you. Which
26
is
years.
26 years. Okay,
Yeah,
so
we're making progress.
52 times we have discussed this this issue, and
if you want to do it again Monday, it's fine with me too.
Enough is enough.
Jackie in Merrimack, you were first on the daylight saving without an S time hour here on BPR. Welcome to the show, Jackie. How are you?
Wow, Jim, come on.
Exactly, Jackie. Thank you so much for calling.
Jackie, get out of here. I mean,
look, Marjorie sounds like a beaten down wife.
That's right.
Whatever you want.
That's right.
Say these things, whatever you want. You want those cabinets? Whatever you want.
so Jackie,
Seriously.
other than having contempt for my raising this twice a year, what is your real position?
No, my real position is that come springtime, if it stays, then the sun's coming up earlier in the spring.
Yeah.
Now it's the end of April, and I'm like, I need to get up with the sun. Come on, let's go, people, let's go. And Tim, you work 10 to 2. Come on, you can get some sunshine.
Jackie, in all seriousness, how do you feel when the sun goes down at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, starting on Monday?
Have a cocktail and watch a good show and make yourself laugh.
Okay, Jackie,
There you go.
You're a good one, I must admit,
Jackie.
Thank you for the
Jackie,
call.
for your support. Texas also says I sound like Donald Trump's doctor.
Yeah, actually, exactly. What's his name? Can you look up his name, by the way? He is expired. Well,
He's no longer with us.
He's no longer with us.
His first wife was here at the Boston Public Library, though.
Yeah.
He's the guy with the long hair that lived in
The hippie doctor.
Hippie doctor that said that Donald Trump was the healthiest person he'd ever met in his entire practice.
And what did he
in 50
subsequently
years as
say?
a physician, that Trump made him write the note.
Trump wrote it. And he just wrote it in his
that's
own handwriting. And then do you remember? Then
Harold
the feds,
Bornstein, that's his
Harold
name.
Bornstein. And then do
He
you
was a
remember
good
what
man.
happened? The feds, when Trump was elected, raided his office.
Yeah.
I mean, to get rid of the records, obviously, of whatever was going on there.
Okay.
877-301-8970. The serious part of this is there are health implications. And if anybody can give me a reason, even if you subscribe to the Trumpian view here, that it should be standard time year-round, would you agree with this? Is there any argument against there being one system? What are you laughing about?
I'm laughing at some of the texts.
Okay, read them. Read them.
Jamie in New Hampshire says, I'm giddy with excitement. I've been waiting for this segment for 6 months. Can't wait to talk about regifting.
That's coming.
In the Christmas season.
That'll be
And
coming.
Jana Melrose says, yesterday Jim kept calling out Marjorie for relitigating the MCAS vote. And lo and behold, today he's relitigating daylight saving time for the 25th year. Do as I say, not as I do. Typical Cambridge resident.
I think that's a compliment. Thank you, Dan. I appreciate the kind words. Lisa in North Adams, welcome to the show, Lisa.
Hi, Lisa.
Hi.
Thank you for taking my call. I am not a proponent of daylight savings time. Starting in daylight saving time, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
In March, I think it's ridiculous because people actually have to get up and go to work.
Yeah.
And they don't go to work at 11 in the morning. They go to work at 7 or 6.
Mm-hmm.
And it's pitch black out. And who wants to get out of bed when it's like that?
Exactly.
So I don't have an issue with it. Also, I think it should be moved from March to April because it's ridiculous in March. Secondly, you say, oh, but it's March and I can have this extra daylight at the end of the day. I am so involved in my community and have so many meetings that I'm rarely home at 5 or 6 in the evening. So I really don't care if it's light out or not. I really want to drive to work in the daylight.
Now, Lisa, before you go ahead, when you said most people don't go to work at 11 o'clock in the morning, was that a dig at me?
A little bit.
A little bit. Lisa, that was a powerful argument. I don't agree with you, but it was a really powerful one. Thank you kindly for your call. We appreciate it.
Emil in Marlborough says, for many Novembers, I had terrible trouble setting my VCR to flash. But now I don't have that problem because I no longer have my VCR. There you go.
You know, you actually interrupted me with laughter, ridiculing laughter a minute ago when I was saying, can we at least agree on one thing on the merits? That even if it's standard time year-round, which I do not want it to be, that twice a year shifting of the clock is insane and totally out of date and dangerous. Would you agree with that?
Well, I don't know. I mean,
why should we change?
Because you kind of, I think some people do, and maybe I'm the only person, but extra hour of sleep on Saturday night, Sunday morning, that's kind of fun. And then in the spring, you get a big lilt in your step when you get that extra hour in the day. It's kind of like when the seasons change. You know, your spring is coming.
I don't like that either.
And that's one of the signs that spring is coming. It's why I never used to like it living in California, because they say they have seasons in Northern California. They really don't. It's basically, you know, little cloudy in the winter, a little colder. It's something nice about the change. I like the change.
You know, I have
Jim.
a bill pending before the state legislature to make it summer all year round. You do know. Do you know that?
Yeah, well, you wouldn't like it if it was summer all year round.
Here's an anonymous texter.
Yep.
Can we get the governor, she'll be here Wednesday, to deport Jim to Alaska where it's dark all day? Can you imagine that, by the way? Did you watch,
people
what was
that
the great
live in
Jodie
Norway and Denmark and those countries.
True Detective, the Jodie Foster thing with that brilliant woman who's a former boxer who's now an actor who was great, whose name I can't remember. I'm embarrassed. Did you see that?
No.
True Detective thing?
Did not see
made
it.
I don't know if it was made in Alaska. It's portrayed in Alaska. I don't know where they actually made it.
Yeah.
But it's dark like all the time. You know what that does to you kind
And
of
some
thing?
places like in England, parts of England, it's light until like 11 o'clock in the summertime. I would like that.
Yeah.
That would be really neat. Bob in Oklahoma. Hi, Bob.
Hello, Bob. How are you?
Good. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming in. What's up?
I've lived, actually, I grew up in Indiana. Part of the state didn't change the clocks ever, part did. So it was kind of confusing that way.
That's
I know
weird.
that. Yeah, I forgot about that. Go ahead.
Yeah. What I would suggest is we roll back the clocks in half hour Sunday and leave it there. So we split the difference so the people in the western part don't have to have the sun up so late in the morning, and the people in the eastern part have the sun till, and I think you said 4:30. This would be for you at least.
Well, I have to say, I don't totally understand what the implications would be, but it sounds to me like a pretty good
Bob,
splitting of the proverbial baby to me.
I'm also wondering how it went when part of the state was in a different time than the other part of the state. I mean, how did that work?
It literally in my home, my dad worked for a power company based out of Ohio, so we called it fast time and slow time. So he went to work. We had clocks on both fast time and slow time.
Wow.
And whenever the local radio station would announce like funeral notices, it'd be at 5 o'clock fast time or 5
That
o'clock
is
slow
great.
time.
That is, that's a great story, Bob. Hey, Bob, thanks for the call and the suggestion. We appreciate it. Thank you so much. Callie Reese, by the way, is the brilliant actor who was in True Detective with Jodie Foster, who I think had either never acted before, she's a boxer, or had only acted a few times. It is great, and she is great. Now, here's an anonymous texter. I'd rather talk about a roasted vegetable, no S, than this stuff. But
Yeah.
We did talk about roasted vegetables.
We did talk about roasted vegetables. That's one of my favorite subjects, actually. Roasted vegetables, the only thing I can cook. Sally in Lexington, thank you for calling.
Hello, Sally.
Hi.
Hi.
I just want to say both of you have a very good point of view.
Thank you.
Thank you.
But the problem is the time switch twice a year. It's very hard for the mothers of young children. Young children don't read clocks. They don't know what time it is. They wake up an hour early or they want to wake up an hour late, and it is really hard for young mothers and fathers.
That's a great point. And yet another reason, even if you're not into daylight saving time being year-round, that it be one uniform thing, unlike what Marjorie's position is, year-round. Sally, that was great. We got to let you go. The connection's
bad.
bad.
The little kids sleep later on Sunday morning because you get an hour more of sleep.
But you know that apparently, this does not happen to me, but all the experts, all the doctor types say that the body's adjustment, even to only a 1 hour switch, takes a while. And they actually say, it's sort of like jet lag, you know, they say when you're going to California or something like that, you should ease your way in, go to bed an hour earlier or later or whatever it is to accommodate what's going to happen to your body. Well, that's apparently what this 1 hour change.
Did you mention the polls on this?
No, I did not.
This is from a piece in the Washington Post. It says the public has long wanted to end the time changes. Polls show just 12% of Americans like the current system. And this is an AP poll. Another 47% oppose it, and the remainder are neither here nor there. But only 12% like it. That's huge. The current system, the way we do it.
Nobody likes, as I said to you, nobody likes the fact that you have to go back and forth.
Well, apparently,
so make up your, not you,
Congress people in the middle of the country, they like it. They
well, you heard the guy from Oklahoma who used to live in Indiana, do a half hour kind of thing, etc. We have a GBH News YouTube poll. Is this true or is this made up? With a whopping 67 votes. 40% believe this chestnut is too moldy, followed by 35 who are just okay with the topic. Only 25% said they're never tired of this. That 25% really understands the importance of major publications.
Chestnut.
Thank you very
exactly.
much.
Laura from a small town west of Boston.
What
Hi,
are you,
Laura.
in a federal witness protection program? What do you mean a small town west of Boston?
Good morning. How are you this morning?
I think we're good. Thank you.
I'm in Athol, Massachusetts. Small town about an hour and a half west of Boston.
We know Athol very well. We know Athol,
Yeah. Nice little town.
Very nice.
I'm with Bob from Oklahoma.
Yeah.
I think, if you want to make everyone happy, turn it back half an hour. Otherwise, just leave it alone and let us live our lives in peace, tranquility, and undisturbed sleep.
How long you been with Bob from Oklahoma, by the way, Laura?
Today's the first time, actually.
By the way, again, there must be something wrong with that idea because it's so obvious. I mean, it sounds totally reasonable, splitting the difference. We're going to check it. Can you check it out, one of you guys, and see if anybody's proposing this half-hour thing that Bob from Oklahoma and Laura, who now is with Bob from Oklahoma, thinks is a good idea. Laura, thanks for your... Do you know... Hey, Laura, before you go, do you know that Christopher Muther, the travel writer for the Globe, is from Athol?
No, I did not know that.
Do you know who he is?
No, I do not.
Exactly. Okay, thank you. That's really sad. Thank you,
Bye.
Laura. It's very sad
here's
for Christopher.
Pat in Portsmouth, Rhode Island. Jim, this is like going to visit my mother in the nursing home. Same story over and over and over. Make peace with the time change. And here's Peter from Mystic, who says, an old Native American saying, leave it to the white man to cut the bottom off a blanket, sew it to the top, and think he's made the blanket longer.
Well, that's a beautiful saying. What the hell does that mean, Peter, is the question.
It's pointless. It's pointless. This discussion is pointless.
It's not pointless.
I think that's what I mean. Somebody said they tuned in and thought this was a rerun. That's a concern of mine, Jim. They thought it was a rerun.
Can I repeat, if Peter's point was you interpreted that old Native American saying, meaning it's pointless, I repeat, 100 to nothing, even if most of them didn't know what they were voting on, was the vote in the United States Senate, only because Nancy Pelosi refused to bring it up for a vote. Did it not happen?
I think the question is, at this juncture,
please,
why are you so wrapped up in daylight saving time, Jim?
Well, for two reasons. One, because I like daylight a lot.
Yeah.
I like daylight. No S on daylight, by the way.
We know that.
No, on
And
daylight,
that's
there's no
the thing.
S either.
Who really cares if there's an S on daylight?
anything? Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
Savings,
that was
not
number
on daylight.
one. That was number one. And number two, I think the switches are ridiculous.
Okay.
I'm not done yet. And three, it is really depressing. And by the way, I mean this in the nicest way, you're being a little disingenuous. To suggest you do not complain, like next week we're going to hear it, when you leave work and
but
it's
you know
dark.
what it is? It's dark. It's dark in November and it's dark in December, and then it starts to get lighter again. I mean, it's kind of like the way it is in New England, you know? Maybe you should move.
Well, maybe to where? Where would you like me to move?
I don't know.
By the way, it's your position. We should just accept
We
all
are
things
seasonal,
the way they are.
We're a seasonal place.
Do you
know?
is that what your position
You know
is?
what's really weird? What's really weird is it's October 31st. Everybody's flowers are still alive, which is not all the flowers, but most of the flowers are still alive, which is odd. But that's one nice thing about climate change. But it's odd. But we're losing the changes. We're not going to have a winter like we usually had. Doesn't that bother you?
It does.
Okay, so
I don't like winter though. Either.
Right, I know, but we're supposed to have snow in Boston.
Whatever. Jamie did a little research. North Korea used to do the Bob from Oklahoma thing. They were 30. Is this true? They were 30 minutes. It is true. They were 30 minutes different from South Korea just to be difficult, but they switched to match in case they reunify in 2018. He and Trump are apparently very good friends. Kim Jong-un, you know that.
Okay, we are
That's what Trump
debating
says, anyway.
daylight saving, no S time, for the 52nd time here on this Egan and Browdy radio show deal. We will unfortunately continue to talk about this when we come back. I'm Marjorie Egan. He is Jim Browdy. You're listening to BPR and GBH and NEPM live from the Boston Public Library, streaming at youtube.com/GBH News. The number is 877-301-8970.
Mali, daily life has been radically disrupted. A coalition of al-Qaeda and Islamic State extremists have cut off the country's supply of fuel. It's part of a larger campaign to overthrow the government.
La situation est devenue de plus en plus catastrophique.
The situation is catastrophic. Hear that story next time on The World.
This afternoon at 3, here on GBH News 89.7.
Our programs are made possible thanks to you and Global View Communications, providing customized inclusion business strategy, market research, and recruiting solutions for over 25 years. Global View Communications. Inclusion, it's worth it. InclusionIt'sWorthIt.com. And Innuendo in Natick, featuring Hunter Douglas PowerView automated shades along with fabric Roman shades and drapery panels for your home and office, measured and installed by the Innuendo team at the Innuendo showroom in Natick and Innuendo.com.
Welcome back to BPR and GBH and NEPM. Marjorie Egan, Jim Browdy, live from the library, streaming at youtube.com/GBH News. In less than 10 minutes, we'll be joined by Senator Sheldon Whitehouse from Rhode Island. We'll find out if he takes the patriotic all daylight saving time all year long position or not. He'll zoom in at about 11:35. A few more programming notes all coming up at the library now that we're back. Attorney General Andrea Campbell spends an hour with us taking your questions on Tuesday. Senator Markey will join us Tuesday at noon on Zoom, and Governor Healy will join us Wednesday from 11 to 12 for Ask the Governor. If you're just tuning in, we're much of the way through our twice annual, much bemoaned by Marjorie and much anticipated by me, debate about daylight saving, no S time. If you're watching, well, in any case, 877-301-8970. What has you in stitches, Marjorie?
Mike from North Carolina is repeating every single one of your obsessions.
Go ahead.
He says, Marjorie sounds as beaten down as that poor guy you had on yesterday, Jim. You kept haranguing about the MCAS exam. I don't know if that man will ever recover ever or appear on your show again. But Mike is establishing right up front, I prefer real versus fake Christmas trees, white versus colored lights. I'm against regifting for daylight saving time and the 4-day work week. How do you feel about a kid kicking your airplane
Okay,
seat?
that happened to me. That's true.
Get the air marshals ready. These are all Jim's stories. My head is spinning. Terry cloth robes, slippers, dickies, wet sheets to eat on Emergency Crank Radio. Please keep it coming. Where can I get tickets to the BPR live show? So I guess he likes us, even though he's sick of the same discussions over and over and over and over again.
Rob in East Bridgewater, you are next as we debate whether daylight saving time should be year-round. Hey there, Rob.
Good morning still, Jim.
Yes.
And
to you, of course.
First time in a long time.
Thank you.
Glad to have you back. What's up?
Last time you were on regular radio. So what would you think of going back to a pre-train era when every town set noon by when the sun was directly over the steeple of the center of town?
There you go.
That is my next proposal, Rob. If this doesn't work out, it's going to be every town sets its own time. That's correct. Go ahead.
We didn't have to change until you had to have train schedules.
Is that true, by the way? I don't know. Is that really true, or are you just baiting me here? Is that true?
No, that's true because before you had to have train schedules.
Yeah.
You weren't traveling that fast, so it didn't matter what your local time was. It was just noon when the sun was over the steeple in the center of town.
Okay, well, let me just say, you know that other than for the 6-member majority of the Supreme Court, it is 2025. So where are you in 2025 on year-round daylight saving time?
Oh, I'm all for keeping saving time.
Oh, great. Marjorie, excuse me.
He's for keeping it. Okay.
Thank you, Rob.
That's good.
Go ahead. Why?
I want the light at the end of the day.
That is exactly right. Rob, thank you. That was a brilliant call, and thanks for a little history. We really appreciate you bringing that to us. 877-301-8970.
Okay, here's a suggestion. Next spring, this discussion should be the final segment on a Thursday for Am I the A-hole? Who's the A-hole here? A night nurse texts and says, I was on the night shift for years. Fallback was awful. Just at the moment you feel the worst, the clocks go back, ugh. And then a person that does sleep therapy is saying how they have to rejigger all their clients
I just said
when
that.
the hours change.
People have I don't have a problem adjusting, even though I don't like it, to the 1-hour switch.
Yeah.
Apparently, according to sleep therapists like that texter, it's a real serious problem for a lot of people adjusting to either the fall back or the spring ahead kind of deal.
But several people are saying their dogs get hungry at the same time, so it doesn't affect them.
Huh.
The animals.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, fine. Let's go to, I'm not that concerned about the dogs, to be perfectly honest. But they do adjust fine, you say?
They just eat. They get hungry at the regular time, whether it's 7 o'clock or 6 o'clock or 5
really
o'clock in the morning.
Sort
yeah.
of.
Okay. Marge from New Hampshire. What do you think, Marge?
Hello, Marge.
Hello.
Hi.
I would ask everyone to spare a thought for the people in Arizona where it's 113 degrees in the summer, and we want the sun to set as soon as possible.
Yeah, well...
Actually, isn't Arizona and half of Indiana, as we heard from Bob from Oklahoma? Doesn't Arizona have its own time deal or something, Marge, or am I wrong?
We don't do daylight savings time.
That's what I thought. Saving, thank you. I thought that was the case. Marge, thank you for that call. We appreciate that.
For the next pledge drive, you should have 2 T-shirts made for each of us. Margie's would say, I'm no expert on, and Jim could have 2. Either it's saving with no S or small d, Democrat.
Oh, that's funny. I say that a lot. Ed from Watertown says, I agree with Marjorie. Jim should move. So that seems to be winning the poll today. 877-301-8970. This is almost over, so bear with us. Deborah and Brighton, thank you. Hi.
Yeah, Jim. I want to say I love you both.
But
today I love you a little bit more.
Who?
Because
Which one of us? Oh, me. Thank you. Go ahead. Why?
Yeah, because I agree with you.
Oh, good.
I mean, there are gardeners, and they want to clean up their beds and everything. They can't do it. There's not enough time, and And then there are people that have depression, and on top of it that they get seasonal depression. It's just really bad.
That was a brilliant call, Deborah. Right on point. Every point was excellent. Thank you, Deborah.
Work.
Those seasonal affective disorder lights?
Disorder lights, yeah, they're really, really bright. So you have more sunlight, artificial sunlight.
So we only have 30 seconds left. Do you want to sum up whatever your argument is?
As I said before, Jim, I've conceded defeat here. Whatever you want, I would like to sunset this particular discussion is what I would like to do.
Colleen says on our YouTube, Jim, I love your scary mask. To which I say, Colleen, I'm not wearing a mask. But thank you very much for your...
We're wrapping this up, Jim. We're wrapping this up because we're going to be joined on Zoom in just a second by Senator Sheldon Whitehouse from Rhode Island, star of Saturday Night Live. We're going to talk to him about the government shutdown, of course. We're going to talk to him about money and politics, a bunch of other issues. He is Jim Browdy. I am Marjorie Egan. You're listening to BPR and GBH and NEPM live from the Boston Public Library, streaming at youtube.com/GBH News. Senator Sheldon Whitehouse is next.
I'm Jared Bowen. Coming up on The Culture Show, from Boston to Paris, the past is being reclaimed and contested. The Museum of Fine Arts is repatriating 2 rare vessels by David Drake, the enslaved potter and poet, whose signature still speaks across centuries. And in Paris, the investigation into the Louvre jewel heist deepens as authorities race to recover treasures stolen from history itself. We take on that and more on The Culture Show's Week in Review, today at 2 on 89.7 GBH.
Support for GBH comes from you.
And Mass General Brigham Health Plan, providing coverage plans for individuals, families, employers, and retirees with benefits that help you live in your moment. More at massgeneralbrighamhealthplan.org. And Lexus Broadway in Boston, presenting Hamilton. Written by Lin-Manuel Miranda, Hamilton is the story of America then, told by America now. Hamilton is in Boston through November 2nd. More at lexusbroadwayinboston.com.
Welcome back to BPR and GBH and NEPM. Marjorie Egan, Jim Browdy. We're live at the library, streaming at youtube.com/GBH News. Again, Attorney General Andrea Campbell joins us for an hour to answer your questions on Tuesday. Right after her, Senator Markey will zoom in. And on Wednesday from 11 to 12, it's Ask the Governor with Governor Maura Healey. So it's now 31 days, the second longest running government shutdown in U.S. history. No end in sight, even if there seems to be increasing pressure on both sides to end it, as we've discussed. Senate adjourned yesterday, won't meet again until Monday, so our next guest has a few minutes, luckily for us, to zoom into the show. Here is Rhode Island United States Senator Sheldon Whitehouse questioning Attorney General Pam Bondi.
The chair recognizes Senator Whitehouse. Good, because you know what I want to talk about? Jeffrey Epstein. Really thought more senators were going to clap. Anyway, did the FBI find photos of the President Trump with half-naked young women when they raided Mr. Epstein's property?
Sir, I'm not even going to dignify that question with a lie.
Okay, that wasn't the real Senator Sheldon Whitehouse. It was SNL. Here is the real Senator Whitehouse. Senator, thanks for joining us. And raise your right hand and tell the truth. Did you laugh when you saw that on SNL, yes or no?
I did.
You did? Good for you.
Yeah, when you find out, somebody always tells you first. So when I found out that I was going to be part of that spoof, you know, you always wonder if you're just the prop for the spoof or if you're the butt of the spoof. So I was very relieved to find out that I was just the prop of that spoof.
You know, it was pretty shocking for a lot of people to watch the Attorney General, though. She was attacking everybody big time that day. I think that's pretty unusual for decorum in those committee hearings, is it not?
Yeah, set decorum aside for 1 minute. and remember that she was accusing senators of things that simply weren't true and that were easy to disprove. You know, she came after me for having taken money from a Jeffrey Epstein confidant. My Federal Election Commission records are available. They're on the internet. An intern at the Department of Justice could have fact-checked her before she made that accusation. And so it shows just how sloppy this MAGA Department of Justice is. And then add on to that this is the MAGA Department of Justice that is prosecuting Jim Comey for lying to a congressional Senate judiciary hearing. And here she is being just like wildly untruthful in a Senate Judiciary Committee hearing. I mean, you can't make this stuff up.
You know, Senator, I often wonder about what kinds of discussions people like you, Democrats, have with the Republicans. I think we have learned that Senate and House Republicans are pretty much willing to cede all of their constitutional power to this president in this grotesque act of sycophancy. After a hearing like the Bondi hearing, where she was so incredibly disrespectful to what I think most people consider to be legitimate questions, was there backroom discussion with Republicans about how wildly inappropriate that was, or do they toe the line in private as much as they do in public? You're muted. Oh, here we go. I'm sorry.
We're there?
You're there,
By my count, 5 Republican colleagues, if I'm remembering correctly, approached me unprompted to say that they were ashamed of the way the administration had conducted that hearing and the way that the MAGA AG had conducted herself in that hearing. But you wouldn't know it in the public domain from any of them because there wasn't a peep of dissent.
So, Senator Whitehouse, we have Chuck Todd, from formerly anchor or moderator of Meet the Press, with us every Thursday. And here's what his position has been the last couple of weeks vis-a-vis the shutdown, day 31, that the Democrats have made their point on health care. They should call the Republicans bluff, who all say that either it's the Republican leader Thune or the Speaker of the House Johnson, that they have a plan to deal with Obamacare premiums and Medicaid. Call their bluff, end the shutdown, and if by November 21st or whatever date it is that the continuing resolution would expire, if their bluff is called and they have no plan, then vote to shut down the government again. How's that sound to you?
I'm sure Chuck Todd is a genius, but he's not the first person to have had that thought.
And what do you think of the thought?
I think at the moment, what we've seen is a steady change in the Republican position about the shutdown. It began with, go pound sand, we're not talking to you. And then they moved to, well, this isn't about the Affordable Care Credits. This is about health care for illegals. That blew up in their face. Then they had to admit, okay, the Affordable Care Credits actually help a lot of our constituents who we're hearing from. And so then they moved to, we'll discuss this with you. We'll have negotiations in the future. And then that moved to, we'll have sincere negotiations as soon as the shutdown ends and you have no leverage. And now in the last day or so, Thune is meeting with some Democratic senators to see if there's a exit strategy from the shutdown that can be hashed out. So if you look at the very long trajectory of change in the Republican position through this time period, I think it's reasonable to have some confidence that this next step is going to move towards getting a real deal and getting not just a, Lucy and Charlie Brown in the football type situation. What the Republicans are shutting the government down over right now, they will negotiate with us about Affordable Care Credits. That's not worth it. So, just negotiate. And there's even been news that they are actually putting together their negotiating position. So I think we're headed rapidly in the right direction. And there's the theory that Chuck Todd noted.
Well, I want to ask you about that, though, because you know very well that Trump, the first time around, tried to get rid of Obamacare about 60-some times. He's got obsessions with certain things. It seems to be, Obamacare seems to still be one of them. He's always talking about the health plan that isn't really a plan. So wouldn't that take an awful lot of chutzpah from Republican senators that haven't been willing to buck the president for them to negotiate over Obamacare subsidies? I mean, will they really do that?
You're assuming that the president is aware of what's going on in all of this.
Okay.
And
you don't think so?
Well, Chuck Schumer came out of the meeting with him and reported how sort of flabbergasted Trump was that this was what the position was. And he said in the meeting, well, that's really going to hurt us. That's going to hurt me. So, we're not seeing the I hate Obamacare Trump. We're seeing the I don't know what's going on here Trump. Okay. And when it is put in front of him, we're seeing the, oh, that's not good for me and my voters. So I'm less worried about that than I am worried about what's going on in the House, which has basically been in the witness protection program for 6 weeks, a huge vacation. And Speaker Johnson has two huge problems with coming back. One, they have to take the Epstein vote, which he will lose. And they're still terrified of what the Epstein files, as that little bit from SNL showed, terrified about what's going to come out about Trump and Epstein. And then he's going to have to deal with a caucus with whom a really significant portion are exactly where you say, Marjorie. They're in that, I don't care what Obamacare does for my constituents. I have to hate it, and I hate it. And I'll never, 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 never support it. And then you've got everybody who's running for re-election in a remotely purple district. And they're all saying, they've even written letters to the speaker saying, my God, we got to fix this, quick, fix this now, fix this, fix this. So between the Epstein debacle in front of them and a hot whose internal warfare he'll have to try to negotiate, he's not looking forward to coming back. And that's why they've been on vacation for 6 weeks.
Senator, I have to ask you to repeat one thing only because the sound checked out for a second. What you were suggesting a minute ago before we lost you for 10 seconds is you think the Republicans are moving to a position where there could be a deal cut on health care issues while there is a lockdown. Yes. Is that correct?
It is really common in the Senate for there to be a clear understanding reached between the parties on where something is going to end, on what the structure of the deal is going to be, before it actually comes to the floor, before the language gets written, before all of that. And I think if the Republicans took that step and said, yeah, this is what we'll agree to. We're going to have only reasonable reforms. We're not going to load you up with poison pills. These are common conversations, for instance, in the appropriations committee and subcommittees, that then, there'd be enough trust if those were clear. What's not is we're not going to talk with you. We're not going to say anything. We may negotiate, but we also are just going to, we reserve the right to be Lucy and pull the football away from Charlie Brown if you take the leverage off of us.
So again, to restate, just so that everybody is clear and so that I'm clear, you believe you and your fellow Democrats would agree, provide the votes to reopen the government if you had a commitment from Republican leadership that you thought could be dependent upon, that where you had the outlines of a deal on health care. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah, that extended the Affordable Care credits.
So you think it's as a result, then I don't need to ask you the question, do you think the Republicans will go along with Trump and dump the filibuster to end this? I guess your position would be it's not necessary. Is that where you are?
I think it's not necessary. And I don't think they really want to.
We're talking to Senator Sheldon Whitehouse from Rhode Island.
Senator, I just wonder, you've been in the Senate for a while. You're obviously the senator from Rhode Island. There seems to be a little schism now in the Democratic Party between the idea of the more moderates, like the Chuck Schumer, like the Kristen Gillibrand in New York, and the crew, what may be happening in New York City with this election of Zoran Mondani, young man who, Democratic Socialist, would be the first Muslim mayor of New York, very progressive. What do you think is happening? I mean, particularly among young people who seem to be, even in Providence, which used to be such a bargain compared to Boston, not such a bargain anymore. I mean, everything is so expensive now. What do you think about this? Do you see a schism here?
I think less so than it appears. I mean, the Republicans and Cuomo and a little pack of New York-based or New York apartment-owning billionaires had very significant incentives to try to make a cartoon out of Mondami. But there's every reason to believe that if he's elected, and now it looks like when he's going to be elected, and by a really big margin, by the way, he's going to go into politics like everybody else. He's going to have a city council to deal with. He's got pothole issues to cope with. And if New York runs free buses, what the hell? I mean, I think there was just way more negativity and hostility and kind of cartoon fakery about his candidacy than was real. I just give the guy a shot. He'll be fine.
Okay, so you would be fine with endorsing him if you were asked?
Yeah, totally. I mean, it's not my job to pick mayors for New York City.
Yep.
I'm up here in
Yep.
Rhode Island.
Yep.
But I think that there's every reason to believe that, like almost anybody else who is sane, when you get into that office, you start making sensible decisions because that's what mayors do.
Okay.
Can we talk, as we always talk to you about the Supreme Court, one case in particular where I'm told you filed a friend of the court brief. I fear that Marjorie, I, and you may be the three people who care about this case, but at least to us it has huge implications. Can you briefly describe the issues in the National Republican Senatorial Committee versus the Federal Election Commission? What's at stake there?
Yeah, the question there is whether a fairly narrow set of political money transfers need to be reported or not. And while in the large scheme of things with, oceans of billionaire dark money flooding our elections, this is not going to be, outcome determinative in much. It is a really important conversation for us to have about where the Supreme Court is with respect to dialing back disclosure and accountability for political contributions. And the point I make in my brief is that what the Supreme Court ought to be doing is reconsidering Citizens United.
Yeah.
First of all, because of the obvious damage that it did, but more particularly to Supreme Court analysis, because the Citizens United decision hung on a factual lie, a factual false predicate, which they should have known at the time, and which now they indisputably know, because the lie was that all this dark money was going to be transparent, actually, and everybody would know which billionaire or which big corporation was behind it. And what is it, $8 billion in dark money later? That's 8 billion reproaches to that false fact. And they treat it as if they had made no mistake, as if everything's fine. And so I wanted to kind of rub their noses a little bit in the fact that this really important decision that has created enormous corruption, in fact, in American politics, was based on a false fact. And by the way, add on to that, they're not supposed to be doing fact-finding in the first place, let alone false fact-finding. So that's been the point of that brief, and that's why I think that brief matters.
And I assume there are 6 votes who disagree with you and 3 votes who agree with you. Is that a fair statement?
We'll see. I think at some point, Barrett and Kavanaugh have to check their consciences and look back at that decision and realize that I'm actually right about both the role of that false fact in the architecture of that decision and the falsity of that fact. And at some point, this is the United States Supreme Court. Truth is supposed to count for something. Proper fact-finding is supposed to count for something. And when you're wrong, you shouldn't just persist even when everybody knows and it's obvious that you're wrong.
Another big picture question, Senator. New York Times had a fascinating editorial talking about the United States slipping into authoritarianism. He listed all the things the authoritarians do, and then he talked about how Trump has started doing it or has already done it. Things like going after the press, going after universities, going after indicting and having prosecuted his political enemies. A lot of people are worried that this is going to keep going. The Republicans aren't going to stop him. The courts aren't going to stop him, and we're in big trouble. What do you think?
That's a legitimate worry. I think Trump is by his nature a bully. The only exception to that, where he becomes the submissive party, is with Vladimir Putin, which raises all sorts of questions about what Putin has on him and why we haven't supported Ukraine and our allies in NATO better. And then he seethes with personal resentments. You know, anybody who's not literally kissing his rear end, he is angry at. If you're not giving him golden tributes, he is cross and fussy. And as he gets older and, you know, his mental acuity fails, these personal characteristics are going to get worse and worse. And when they're clothed in the power of the presidency, and when he's surrounded with suck-ups and sycophants who won't say no to him, that is a very dangerous, dangerous combination. And we're still waiting for the moment where the Supreme Court stands up on its hind legs and says, actually, we have a role here to play. And what you're doing does, in fact, violate the law and the Constitution. Or when Republicans say, okay, enough is enough. And it may only be when they have their, you know, Blazing Saddles moment where they have to look out for their own phony baloney jobs. But we're closing in on that. We got to look out for our own phony baloney jobs moment.
So what do you think Putin has on him? And in a corollary question, getting back to where we began, your question for the Attorney General, do you have any information that we don't, that Donald Trump is more compromised in the Epstein matter than we know him to be?
I mean, the only information that I have on Trump and Epstein is generally public information and, you know, reasonable conclusions to draw from it. One obvious piece is Michael Wolff's repeated statement that Jeffrey Epstein showed him these photographs of Trump with these young, unclothed women and then put them back in his safe. And then we also know that the FBI raided the house and searched the safe. So the question is Michael Wolff making it up? Was he lying? Were those photos disposed of somewhere else? Or did the FBI actually find them in the safe? And is that why everybody is so spooked about the FBI? The other is Trump going nuts and throwing Jeffrey Epstein out of his club for hiring Virginia Giuffre. Yeah. Now, just think about that for a minute outside of this context. You're a billionaire, so-called. You have a huge business operation. You run a club. A summer worker teenager is hired away to another job by a member. Why is that a big deal? Why is that not just somebody down in the administration of the club gets her a cake, thanks her for her work, gives her a card, and off she goes to her next job? It doesn't make sense for the head of the operation to go nuts about that without some other piece in the formula. And the other piece in the formula that makes sense is that he knew what Epstein was up to, and that he was furious, not that Epstein was up to that, but that Epstein touched his club by recruiting this young woman. If it was a legit job, why would he be angry about that? It's just not something that grown-ups care about. So there's a huge tell hidden in that story as well. So I think that there is more there, and I have no idea what Putin has on him, but it's just so marked that he insists on being the alpha male with everybody except Putin, and there he's the full submissive.
Senator, we really
Whitehouse,
appreciate your time as always.
Thank you very much for being with us. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me on.
Yes, thank you. We've been speaking with SNL star Rhode Island Senator Sheldon Whitehouse. Up next, we're going to be talking to Callie Crossley. The show continues here in Boston. Coming up after the new news, like I said, Callie's here on her sit-down with Shonda Rhimes. That's going to be great. It's TV superstar. And we thank the people that tuned in on NEPM. You can tune in at 3 to the Fabulous 413. I'm Marjorie Egan. He is Jim Browdy. We are broadcasting live from the Boston Public Library, streaming at youtube.com/GBH News. Callie Crossley up next.
It's not over yet. More smart conversation about community issues up ahead with Jim Browdy and Marjorie Egan on Boston Public Radio, right after a news update from NPR. Stay with us here on GBH 89.7.
Funding for our programs comes from you.
And UMass Lowell. Ranked #1 best value public university in Massachusetts by the Wall Street Journal and U.S. News and World Report. Learn more at uml.edu/rankings.
Celebrate the Halloween season with bloodthirsty vamps and famous zombies. Watch Secrets of the Dead at 9, followed by Exhumed, A History of Zombies at 10. Tonight on GBH 44.
You're listening to 89.7 WGBH HD1 Boston. Online at gbhnews.org. GBH News. What matters to you?
I'm Jim Browdy, head on Hour 2 of VPR, live from the Boston Public Library. We start the noon hour with GBH's Callie Crossley and how local food pantries and states are planning to fill the hole left by SNAP benefits ending tomorrow. Plus, her thoughts on Waymo coming to Boston.
I'm Marjorie Egan. Then it's Live Music Friday with rapper and illustrator Nick Shea. And since it's Halloween, we'll talk with chocolate sommelier Victoria Kichuk about the difference between Halloween Hershey's and the artisan treats of the local variety. It's all next, hour number 2 of BPR 89.7 GBH, live from the Boston Public Library.
Live from NPR News, I'm Lakshmi Singh. A month into the federal government shutdown, tens of millions of people are at risk of losing federal food and nutrition benefits. The Secretary of Agriculture, Brooke Rollins, accuses congressional Democrats of jeopardizing continued funding of the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, or SNAP.
We are here today because SNAP benefits run dry tomorrow. So the truth has finally revealed itself, hasn't it? Democrat support for programs like SNAP is now reduced to cynical control over people's lives. This last month has shown that the party who constantly says it puts people over politics does the complete opposite.
Democrats blame the shutdown on President Trump, saying he has refused to meet them to talk about extending health care subsidies millions of low and middle-income Americans are set to lose at the end of the year. The White House appears to have identified additional funding for military paychecks, according to reports that an Office of Management and Budget spokesperson has confirmed. The spokesperson says the agency is using roughly $5 billion from a military housing fund, a military research and development fund, and a Defense Department account used for building ships. Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth met his Chinese counterpart in Malaysia today. They talked about Taiwan and the South China Sea, where NPR's Emily Fang reports the Philippines, a U.S. ally, has been trying to boost its defenses against China.
Hegseth met with Dong Jun, China's defense minister. He also met with the Philippines defense secretary. And on the same day, China's Coast Guard sailed to patrol around the disputed Scarborough Shoal, one of the many areas of contention between the Philippines and China, who both claim the waters around this reef as theirs. Dong Jun, the Chinese defense minister, told Hegseth that he hoped the U.S. would honor its commitment not to contain China and wanted the two countries to build off of a high-profile meeting between President Trump and China's top leader, Xi Jinping, just the day prior. Hegseth said in a statement on X that he told Admiral Dong the U.S. would ensure it has capabilities to defend its interests in the region. Emily Fang, NPR News.
58 years after Nobel Peace Prize winner Albert Luthuli died, the South African government is now ruling that the anti-apartheid leader was beaten to death by police. Until now, authorities had been claiming he was accidentally struck by a train. Luthuli led the African National Congress and, in 1960, became the first African to win the Nobel Peace Prize for leading a civil disobedience campaign against racial segregation by South Africa's white minority government. At last check on Wall Street, the Dow was down 32 points at 47,489. This is NPR News.
Good afternoon. With the latest from the GBH newsroom, I'm Henry Santoro. Nearly a third of those receiving federal food assistance here in Massachusetts are children. So says the administration of Massachusetts Governor Maura Healey, and with the federal government still shut down as of today, funding for the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, or SNAP, is set to end tomorrow. However, a ruling by a federal judge could change that. We are still waiting to see. SNAP provides benefits to low-income households to help buy groceries, and in Massachusetts, 32% of the SNAP recipients are children, 31% are people with disabilities, and 26% are senior citizens. Healey's office also says the 21,000 veterans in Massachusetts are SNAP recipients, which is about 1 of every 10 veterans. And as of September, the Department of Transitional Assistance says there are 1,061,460 individuals in Massachusetts who receive SNAP. Several streets on Beacon Hill will be closed to pedestrians tonight to ensure a safe trick-or-treating experience for the little ghouls and goblins. Streets will start closing around 4 p.m. so visitors can check out the lavishly decorated brownstones the neighborhood is known for. And up in Salem, they're expecting some 80,000 people today and tonight. In the forecast, we are looking at sun, clouds, and wind today, high near 60. Mostly cloudy for trick-or-treating tonight, high about 50 degrees. We're at 55 under a cloudy sky in Boston. This is GBH News.
Support for NPR comes from NPR stations. Other contributors include Fisher Investments. Fisher's dedicated team of specialists provide resources on investing, retirement income, estate planning, and more. Learn more at FisherInvestments.com. Investing in securities involves the risk of loss.
Welcome to hour number 2 of Boston Public Radio. Jim Browdy and Marjorie Egan. We are broadcasting live. Thank you from the Boston Public Library, streaming at youtube.com/GBH News. A couple of programming notes, all coming up at the Boston Public Library next week. The Attorney General on Tuesday, the 11th, Senator Markey at noon. Also on Tuesday, next Tuesday. And then the governor's going to be with us next Wednesday, also at 11. The mayor of Boston will be with us November 18th. From noon to 1, and Yo-Yo Ma will be here performing, I know,
19th.
November 19th for some really wonderful, he's just a genius.
He is.
Yeah, he is. Hello again, Jim.
You know what I realized we forgot to mention at the top of the show, which we intended to, what we did last night. A couple of months ago, we had Cecilia Lazat, who owns Suya Joint, a wonderful African restaurant in Nubian Square, on to talk about how her brother, Paul Dama, had been snatched by ICE. He had an asylum proceeding pending.
Yep.
Shortly there, and he was detained. There was good news, which is rare in these situations. Paul's asylum petition was granted.
Oh, wow.
And subsequently, on October 23rd, which was the deadline for the government to appeal, they did not appeal. And as a result, and so we went to Suya last night, our whole team.
It was great.
With Cecilia there hosting us to celebrate Paul's position. And it was just, the restaurant's wonderful, and what happened to him, since there's so few happy endings with ICE, is just great. So congratulations to Paul and Cecilia. And if you haven't been to Suya Joint, go there. The food is fabulous. In any case, go
ahead. You're introducing Callie.
I am. That's how it works. You say something, then you introduce somebody, and then you talk to them. In any case, we're joined at the library by Callie Crossley. Callie's the host of Under the Radar with Callie Crossley. Airs Sunday nights on GBH. You can also hear her Monday Callie commentaries on GBH's Morning Edition. She's co-host of the Culture Show Week in Review, which is live here at the library, immediately following us on Friday, which today is. Now I say hello, Callie, and then you start talking to her.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you. Here we go.
I've never done this before, Callie. You know what I mean? So you had an opportunity to sit down with Shonda Lynn Rhimes, who everybody knows, producer, screenwriter, director, runs her own big company, Shondaland. The TV shows, Grey's Anatomy, Private Practice, Scandal. She's a superstar.
Yes.
And I asked you before we went on the air, was she as great in person?
Yes, she was.
Tell us about your sit-down.
Well, it was the closing event for the Boston Book Festival. I sit on the board of the Boston book festival. In fact, the whole day was fabulous, I must tell you.
A lot of it was here, right?
Yeah. Some of it was here. It was all around the library in the Copley area. It was fabulous. So she was the closing event. This is the 10th anniversary of a book she wrote, obviously 10 years ago, called The Year of Yes. People would imagine that somebody as powerful as she, and I should just stop right here and note, she is the most powerful showrunner ever.
Really?
Yeah,
I did not know that.
Yes. Her company is called Shondaland. Just so that we are clear about that.
What do you think? Callie Land? What do you think?
No. I asked her about that, actually, and I said, do you just, sometimes just go to the window and look out, and there it is, Shondaland. And she said, I'm kind of embarrassed because it was a placeholder for a name as we were thinking about things. Because she says, I was thinking about Disneyland. So I said Shondaland, and then it just stuck. So I think it's funny. Anyway, she was fabulous, and she talked about being a painfully shy and introverted person. And she likes to write the characters. She likes to create the shows. But she says, I have all these fabulous actors. Don't ask me to say anything. But people wanted to meet her. So she had to figure out a way to force herself out. And so she created this thing based on something her sister encouraged her to do called The Year of Yes. She would say yes to everything she was asked to do. And that forced her out of herself. It was very hard. But she learned a lot of lessons. And she shared that. And it was not supposed to be a self-help book, just a memoir, but a lot of people have taken some of her experiences and applied them to themselves.
Do you hear that Jim say yes to everything?
No.
You know what Jim says when you ask him to do something?
No
he
to
says,
everything.
Yes, that's
never,
what she did.
Never.
Yes.
How's that for you?
Okay.
Never.
Can I tell you something? Go from 10 years ago. The most recent thing I'm aware that she did, we've talked about it on the air.
Yeah, it's really good.
The Residence.
Oh, my God, isn't that great?
At the White House.
I know.
Is one of and what's the name? Uzo.
Aduba.
Oh, my God, is she
so
brilliant?
Great. Yeah.
It is one of the most fun. There's a murder at the White House.
Yeah.
It's brilliantly
but
written.
It's a fun murder mystery thing.
It's just
and I
great.
thought brilliantly directed by the guy who wrote it.
Good thing they made it already, because the part of the White House a lot was shot in is gone.
That's a very fine point, by the way.
East Wing, no longer there.
Yes, she was fabulous. I highly recommend the book. She's funny.
Good.
So can we go from
I'm very pleased. That's good to know.
Let's go from yes to no. And no
Okay.
is what's going to happen tomorrow, unfortunately, to food assistance for 42 million people in this country, 1 million here in this state. I think we ran out of time with Sheldon Whitehouse. We were going to talk to him about that too. 140,000 in Rhode Island, everywhere. Everybody knows SNAP benefits. A lawsuit was filed by 24 attorneys general, all of whom Democrats, by the way, because Republicans obviously don't care if the people in their state can eat. Here is Andrea Campbell, who will be with us Tuesday at 11, announcing in a State House rally she's filed a suit to try to force the Trump administration to fund SNAP payments that, again, are set to run out tomorrow.
What makes this unprecedented decision even worse is that the federal government absolutely has the money to continue SNAP benefits for every family, not just in Massachusetts, but in this country.
Now, the feds have said, and I've mostly heard Mike Johnson, the speaker, saying this, they can't use this emergency money for this. A federal judge yesterday, here in Boston actually, raised questions suggesting, it seems to me, I don't want to put words in her mouth, that they could, but this is just an effort by the administration to use low and moderate income people's nutrition as leverage in this thing, isn't it?
It's devastating, and a lot of his supporters are going to be hit by this. And we should say at the outset that there is no amount of giving from those of us who might have something to give in this moment to fill the hole. And there are lots of people doing that, by the way. I urge people to not check in with their food banks and the pantries to make certain you are bringing what they need for the moment and not just what you think they need. And also money is always good. But my point is, there's no way for us to fill the hole, even if every single one of us who had a little something more could do that. This is what we have government for, to step in when we need stuff. These are veterans. These are, folk just trying to make it. I saw active military people, actually, the wives of some of active saying, we rely on these funding to make ends meet.
They got paid so little, some of these military people.
So it's really, really scary and bad and awful, and I don't know what else to say except it's devastating.
We had a mom who called us the show yesterday, who talked about how she'd never been to a food bank in her life. She'd been laid off from her job, mother of children, and she, felt funny the first.
However, but what did she then go on to
she
say?
She said the people were so warm and friendly and respectful that she felt a million times better. Now she's going to volunteer.
Yeah.
But here's what's, I mean, the most important thing you said is when people read that Governor Healy said she's going to spend $4 million on this, Governor McKee in Rhode Island said, I think, $6 million. It doesn't come close to filling the hole. We've had the leaders, for example, the head of the Greater Boston Food Bank was with us talking about how she wasn't complaining, overburdened they are already.
Yes.
Add the 42 million people who are not going to get food stamps, there's no way they can fill this hole. And again, people like Andrea Campbell and many other people who have big brains suggest the federal government is not legally precluded from using these emergency funds to continue this support. And if you do need if you're just desperate, come tomorrow and there's not a deal cut, if you Google Project Bread or Greater Boston Food Bank, if you're in the eastern part of the state, they will tell you where to go. And if you're not in the eastern part of the state, they'll refer you to somebody. But it's a real crisis tomorrow that doesn't need to happen. So.
Shout out also to restaurants and other small companies that are stepping up again. This can't fill the hole. Somebody sent me a post by Sharky's on the Vineyard, where I hang out. They have a store on Oak Bluffs, and the proprietor there says, please come twice a week. We will give you a plate of beans and rice and whatever, because we don't want any kid going hungry. So this is, people are trying to do what they can do as they would, but we need our government to support us.
And by the way, one other thing, while the government is not supporting us, and the Fed not at all, and the state only so much I guess they can do, is in Cambridge, you just reminded me, cash is best.
Yes.
But if you want to buy baby food and then contribute it to the appropriate place, just Google around. But everybody who cares about this should be helping rather than just whining like I'm doing now. We're talking to Callie Crossley.
So, Callie, I'm curious how you feel about these autonomous cars, these Waymos. They had a city council discussion about this. These are the ones with no people driving.
Except that what would happen here, as I understand it, or the proposal would be to have a human inside with it, which then makes it cost more. So I'm not quite sure how efficient that is. I'm very nervous about it.
Me too.
And then I went to look to see, just to confirm, where Waymos are. Now, there's a new study out saying they have proven to be the most safe of all the other experimentation with autonomous vehicles. So the Tesla one, not so good. The other one that I guess one of the American car makers was trying, they discontinued it. But Waymos consistently have been safe in terms of not having crashes or whatever. Okay, so they're in Phoenix, San Francisco, Los Angeles, Austin, and Atlanta. I'm just trying to imagine them on the narrow streets of Boston. We got bike lanes everywhere coming and going, and we have snow and ice. I'm sorry, people, I don't see it. It's not been, as far as I'm concerned, that's the test. Test it in an eastern city where you got all this other stuff going on. And not to mention, how many quirky traffic signals and rules do we have here? I mean, I don't know. I don't know that you can take something that's quite successful in Phoenix and San Francisco and Los Angeles and Austin, maybe Atlanta. Atlanta has really bad traffic. But I don't know.
Well, and by the way, the stuff I've read doesn't just say it's the safest of the autonomous entities. They say it's safer than a car driven by a human being. But even if you intellectually accept that, it is a real leap to be able to emotionally accept the notion there's going to be a driverless thing going down. I mean, you're about to cross the street, you see a driverless car coming. I mean, and there's also a great line in one of those pieces. Somebody who actually said they were the safest of their kind was talking about other AI stuff that is a mess, which causes a lack. The quote from this person, he's from the University of South Carolina, I forgot his name. He said, if Waymo worked as well as ChatGPT, we'd all be dead. So I mean, there is good reason to be concerned, not to mention the fact that primary people testifying against this, I think it was a Boston City Council hearing, am I right? Is that what it was, I think?
It
was labor unions who were worried, as they, not only do they say they're not as safe as proponents suggest, but say they're obviously job killers, which is obviously factually accurate. I'll stay with a human being driving a car.
Me too. I mean, I don't see them in the mix if they were like nobody's on the street except them, maybe. But that just makes me nervous.
I mean, I can't stand how much people are on their cell phones driving.
Oh, that's right.
That's very scary. But
a driverless car will not be on its cell phone. That's an argument for
a driverless car will not be on its cell phone. But
it has to interact with people who are on their cell phone. That's my issue.
It just kind of, I don't know. Maybe I'm just old-fashioned. It kind of gives me the creeps a little bit to see cars even with the human.
Did you, when your kids took their driver's test, did you have to sit in the back seat? Because I did.
No.
Really? Oh, you didn't have to do that?
No.
I sat in the back. I don't remember what the rule is. I sat in the back seat, and with my younger daughter, and she won't be offended because she knows this is true, I felt like I was in a driverless car. Let me tell you. Oh my God. It was terrifying.
I hope things have improved, Jim.
She's actually she's a terrific driver.
Yeah.
She didn't, let's put it this way, she didn't pass the first time.
Oh, okay.
Which I think may have been a good choice on the part of the RMV person.
Okay.
In any case, we're talking to Callie Crossley.
So a lot of us are very concerned about the ethics and impartiality and integrity of the Justice Department.
Yeah.
Now they're investigating whether leaders in the Black Lives Matter movement defrauded donors. I'm very worried about this because I don't trust the Department of Justice anymore, which is a terrible thing to say.
I know, it's very nerve-wracking. Well, for me, it's really President Trump announcing it's a terrorist group. I mean, naming it a terrorist group, which I hadn't really thought beyond. Is that just his espousing, his intense dislike for the organization? But it actually has a deeper meaning, as one may know, that means that if you decided to support that organization, there was another one too that Antifa, then you, supporter of, let's say with cash, could actually be investigated at some point because now you're supporting a terrorist organization, and none of us wants to be doing that. So that's my concern, is that he and whomever else in his group have the opportunity to designate something a terrorist organization outside of how traditionally the Justice Department, and for that matter all the rest of our folks who keep us safe, have done.
Yeah.
And so that's
can I say one thing?
That's unnerving to me.
I hope we don't get stupid texts like we get on the Comey thing and others when they say, well, they're not going to win this case. Not going to win this case. If you're a defendant, when the power of the government is on the other side with unlimited resources, it destroys your life. If you win in 3 years, you're bankrupt. Your life has been totally thrown in the toilet. So these stupid texts we get from very few people, but from some, saying, if you're innocent, what do you have to fear? You have to fear the destruction of your life by the federal government that's not supposed to be the enemy. Can we move on to my pet peeve?
What's your pet peeve, Jim? There's so many.
Well, that's a very good point, actually. This is number one. We talked when the Associated Press was thrown out of the pool because I think they refused to call it the Gulf of America kind of thing. There was a letter written, which I thought was really weak by other journalists. When we mentioned it to Chuck Todd, Chuck mentioned that we talked about a situation where Barack Obama barred Fox News from something, and he told us that he led an effort when he was at NBC where all the journalists said, we're going to walk out, which to me is what you should do. Yeah. Well, fast forward. The journalists walked out of the Defense Department or the Department of War when Hegseth imposed those terrible rules. We did a mock reading the other day of the disgraceful ridicule that Caroline Leavitt, the press secretary, did of that reporter from the Huffington Post when he said, have you thought about having this in Hungary where such and such happened, the alleged meeting with Putin that never happened, and who made that decision? Your mom made that decision.
Yeah, wow.
And on, Chung, who's the director of communications, Leavitt, and Trump himself. Yesterday I'm watching CNN in the afternoon, and Jonathan Karl from ABC was on, and they play a little video of Karl asking a totally reasonable question. Trump saying, you're one of the dumbest reporters ever. You're a disgrace. Everybody knows you're a disgrace. And Karl says, when the scrum is over in the Oval Office, Trump calls him over and says, just BS, that kind of thing. Explain to me.
By the way, they've already paid Trump, what, how much has ABC paid Trump?
$16 million.
$16 million.
The
They've
George Stephanopoulos
Yeah,
press.
over the George Stephanopoulos.
Okay,
thing.
explain
so
to
he's not let
me
up on them.
why when a reporter is not one, repeatedly reporters demeaned and treated like crap, in light of the fact that Trump and his people care about nothing, well, other than money and attention, why don't the reporters just say, as long as you keep treating one of us like garbage, we're just going to walk out. We're not going to be an audience for these things. We'll do it from long distance, just like they do in the Defense Department.
All I can tell you is that there's a lot of change going on in all of these places, and God knows, I'm looking at the Paramount layoffs, and we still don't know the numbers of people nor all the names. So I don't know how to answer that question, and I am reminded, of course, of Yamiche Alcindor being excoriated like that, and he never called her over to say, "I'm just kidding."
That is correct.
You know, so that's. It's
PBS,
disgraceful.
Right? Was it PBS?
Yes,
wherever it was.
Yes,
I think it was PBS.
No, she does NBC too. She was doing both. So it was just. I mean,
but
it's
why not?
disgraceful.
Why? I don't understand why it's even a tough thing. If a colleague who is attempting to do their job is demeaned like this. And they're basically demeaning the whole media by demeaning Jonathan Karl one day, Yamiche another day, etc. It seems to me the way to say we're not going to take this is by not taking it. Rather than you're almost like if you stay, I'll shut up after this, I promise. It's almost like you're an enabler. You're basically saying, continue to abuse us, Donald Trump, Carolyn Levitt, Chung, whoever the hell. It's a deep concern of mine that we're enabling even worse behavior down the line.
So the only answer I can give is that all the people that you've mentioned have bosses, and the only people that I know that have done a sort of intense response, like a walkout or something, very, very public that way, have done it as an individual. I mean, they weren't particularly representing their place of business.
No, not at the Pentagon. The Pentagon walked out, including Fox News
as
a group.
Okay, but I'm saying, given your Jonathan Karl example, that's what I'm saying. And folks have to try to figure out what will be their response, because this is not going to stop. I think there's probably conversations going on about how will we as an institution, and then will we collaborate with other institutions to say this is disgraceful and disgusting? I don't know.
You know, Jasmine Crockett, that she's the congressperson from Texas. She's been on TV a lot lately because Trump challenged her with an IQ test, and she was on. I forget if it was the Jimmy Kimmel show. Or it was and
she doesn't take any crap.
Right. And she called him out. Right. She said, "Why do you suppose he's picking on you?" And he said, "Because he picks on women of color."
Right.
You know, it demeans everybody. Talks about their IQ stuff. So she challenged him to take an IQ test, which of course he wouldn't take.
Of course.
And undoubtedly she would beat him.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's coming up Sunday night, Callie Crossley?
Well, we're doing a full hour of a look back of nearly a year ago this weekend that President Trump won the election. So we're looking at all the many kinds of issues that have bubbled up since then. Many that, as my mass politics profs, those are the people who are doing the analysis, would say they could never have imagined happening. And what they think, based on what's happening thus far, will be issues going into the new year at least. And just, trying to figure out what is the general impact bigger than even the political one. And I'll recall something that Erin O'Brien has said, is she said, why would anybody become a public servant?
That's true.
She said, that's the question.
Great point.
Why would anybody do that?
Or go to work for the Department of Justice or any of these places where you are
so you're
public
trashing
servant.
these people who have dedicated themselves, who are, of course there's always, fraud and incompetency in any situation, but to assume and to constantly say that all the people who have these jobs are somehow leading the pack is just, it's horrible. So,
can I say one thing that I'm worried that people are going to get the wrong impression for? When Callie a couple of minutes ago mentioned the Paramount layoffs, which obviously is CBS, we ignored something locally, and only because we're going to talk to Sue O'Connell about it. Your former colleague on Beat the Press, and a good friend and admired colleague of ours, John Keller, was among the layoffs, which is just horrible.
Yeah.
Which I wasn't even thinking that they were going to go low.
Nor did I.
Neither did I. That came as a total shock.
But
We're
we'll
not gonna
discuss
talk
it
about
more
it.
soon in a couple of minutes.
Okay, Callie, I'm very glad
See
that
ya.
Shonda Rhimes is as great in person as she
Me
seems to be
too.
on television.
See you at 2 o'clock.
Speaking with Callie Crossley. Oh, yeah, 2 o'clock, but Callie won't tell us what's going on.
No, we know. Well, listen to the show.
We've been
Let's
speaking
show
to
up here.
Callie Crossley, host
Okay.
of Under the Radar with Callie Crossley, which airs Sunday nights on GBH, and tonight, Sunday night, she said they're going to talk about Trump's first term. You also hear Monday Callie commentaries in GBH's Morning Edition, and she's co-host of the Culture Show's Week in Review, which starts right after us today, right here at the Boston Public Library. The Culture Show is going to be broadcasting from here. Up next, Live Music Friday with rapper-producer Nick Shea. I am Marjorie Egan. He's Jim Browder. You listen to BPR 89.7 GBH live from the Boston Public Library and streaming at youtube.com/GBH News.
Florence Welch has played through broken bones while bleeding, pouring everything into her performance. She says something almost inhuman takes over that makes her keep on going.
I feel like the stage, I'm allowed to let this beast of energy out.
I'm Elsa Chang, the Florence and the Machine frontwoman on her next album, Everybody Scream, on the next All Things Considered from NPR News.
Today at 4, here on GBH News 89.7.
Our programs are made possible thanks to you.
And Lexus Broadway in Boston, presenting Suffs, the Broadway musical about the American women who fought for the right to vote. Created by Shayna Taub, Suffs comes to Boston March 17th through 29th. More at lexusbroadwayinboston.com. And Rocky Ruggiero, making art and history come to life. Offering travel programs throughout Italy and online learning opportunities on Italian art and culture. Learn more at rockyruggiero.com.
Welcome back to BPR. Marjorie Egan, Jim Browdy, live at the library. Thank you all. Streaming, excuse me, at youtube.com/GBH News. Attorney General and Senator Markey on Tuesday, the governor on Wednesday. It's time now for Live Music Friday. This week, courtesy of East Boston's own Nick Shea. Nick is a rapper, producer, and the guy behind the viral $1 portraits on Boston Common. We'll talk about that. Project born out of, excuse me, COVID boredom that endeared him to thousands in the city and through Instagram. Next week, Nick is releasing his latest project, completely self-produced album, Mad Raps 2. He'll also be at the MFA, I'm so sorry, on November 20th. Can you finish this, Marjorie?
Yes, I will finish this. He's going to be at the MFA on November 20th, performing at the Blue Triangle Gallery on November 22nd. That's in Somerville. For more info, check him out on Instagram at Real Nick Shea, and Shea is S-H-E-A. He is now going to perform for us, Making Sandcastles. Here he is, Nick Shea.
Good afternoon, Copley Library. My name is Nick Shea, and we're gonna do a song for you guys right now. I dress basic, don't flex it or making. Just know I'm not a struggling artist, don't ever be mistaken. Measure my success with some Stanley tape. Keep the fire going, fan the flame. Hunched over, working all night, but still I stand up straight when it's time to react and animate. Antiquated syncopations gon' blast through end of days. I'm making sandcastles on Revere Beach. Let the fear of a crash steer me, just trying to see it clearly. My yearly salary is only half of what I earn. Give my heart and my soul and I get magic in return. Better believe it, this is not no hidden card up a sleeve. But Geodude's my favorite Pokemon, so that's in the sleeve. Gotta protect everything I know and love. My individual worth is that I'm always enough. I'm trying to spark joy like a birthday candle. Judge a spirit the most of the time so I can feel old. Frolic around Spectacle Island, I'll take a sailboat. Made an oath with my God, I'ma straighten up. Never fake the funk. If you surprised, then you made assumptions. Brace for bumps, stake what you claim. They gon' say what they want, don't let it ever break your brain. I'm plain sight shining, they be asking what the secret be. Just follow your heart and be a decent human being. It's that simple, ain't it? Don't you wanna see it come true? I'm just trying to live out all that I could do. Made the most with a little bit, focus on the benefit. and keep on going. Never tell me what the ceiling is. It's that simple, ain't it? Don't you wanna see it come true? I'm just trying to live out all that I could do. Make the most with a little bit. Focus on the benefit and keep on going. Never tell me what the ceiling is. Yeah. Hey, thank you guys so much. That song's called Making Sandcastles off my upcoming album. You guys heard it here first.
Counter,
I don't know what
set,
it is, but he's coming over
stage.
here. And we want to point out that Nick's mother is in the audience.
Where are you, Maria?
Yeah.
Hi, Maria.
And you raised your son well. Look at all he was talking about. Make the most
Well,
of it.
you have to explain. Your mother just stood up and showed her shirt. Why did she show the shirt that she is wearing there, Nick Shea? That was great, by the way.
Thank you so
You
much.
also have a beautiful smile, I should say, at a time when nobody's smiling.
Come
It's
on.
great. Why is she wearing that shirt?
Well, my mom is always supporting. She's rocking some of the merch right now with my face that I always draw her on it. So appreciate her rocking it and being here. And yeah, thank you guys so much for having me.
I mentioned that your mom must be so proud because that was, if you're thinking about what your children want to talk about, try to be a decent human being, focus on the benefit, make the most of it. I mean, that was a very uplifting, full of gratitude kind of song.
Oh, yeah.
So is that your mom coming through?
My parents always push me to be creative, and I know they're always listening. So I maybe it's in the back of my mind to try to say good things.
Okay.
So we know about your music career, your rap career, a little bit now. Talk to us about this $1 portrait thing. Almost everybody I know when I mention you're coming on is this is incredible, either had you draw them or knows about you having drawn somebody they know.
Wow.
Explain what the project is.
So since 2020, I've been drawing my whole life since I was a little kid. But since 2021, I started going out into the Boston Commons and just sitting with the pizza box that said drawing of you. Basically, come up and let me draw you. And I think you mentioned it, but it was because I was just stuck in my apartment and I had bad roommates at the time. I was like, get me out of this house. There's got to be normal people in society. And I've always wanted to share my art with people, and it became like one of the best things that I could have done.
Why was it so good for you? I know how great it was for the people who you drew. Why was it so important for you, Nick?
Well, I just show up to be like, I'm just going to draw. I'm trying to make a drawing, and like we chat and stuff, but I'm there to make the drawing. So like that's what I'm focused on, but then everything else that was happening around it, and I was like, wow, like I'm connecting with people, I'm meeting so many people from all around the world, and I don't know, it's just every day is a different experience when I go out there and do it. I never know who I'm gonna talk to or meet, and that's always so exciting. I know I'm gonna draw, so I have like my focus, but then everything that like comes to me and around me, like I don't know, I always feel like I'm attracting the right energy and the right spirit, and I'm just really grateful that like in all my years of doing it, I've maybe met like 2 weird public park people. We're in a city, so it's gonna happen. But
wait, in all these years,
it's very little. Like
we meet like 2 weird people every day on the show.
Well,
it's actually incredible.
Maybe I'm like desensitized to some of it, but
Okay,
we want to
know.
Really
we want to know why it's only $1 in these inflationary times. What do you think about maybe $1.50 or $2?
I have in the past maybe year or two. I just say more than $1 per person.
Oh, good. That's reasonable.
And because some people were like kind of taking advantage of the $1 thing.
Yeah.
And I want to keep it accessible. I don't want to. My goal is to go out there and meet people and share my art. So. I don't want to scare people away with too big of a price tag. I care about my art, and I have other stuff that costs more money. But when I go out in the park, my goal is to meet so many people. But yeah, just saying more than $1 per person, it's kind of deterred away some of the people who don't actually care. And it's, I'm still being accessible.
Okay.
And just continue to attract the right people.
So tell us about your other art too, besides the drawings you make.
I feel like if it's okay, we'll keep chatting, but because I usually chat while I'm drawing people in the park. If I could draw you guys.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, we love that.
They told me maybe you guys would like that. So
yeah,
we'd love
absolutely, we would love that. Okay.
But we keep it chatting. Pretend I'm not drawing. I guess.
We'll pretend you're not drawing.
Well, while you learned to draw on a train, I read in the Boston Globe.
That's right.
What does that mean?
Well, I would draw as like this sort of face that people know that I draw. I started doing it because people on the train move too fast, and like I don't tell them I'm drawing them, so they
don't notice.
They're moving around. They're not posing.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, how do I draw everybody in the world like with a universal typeface, and then fill in the details around it.
Yeah.
So it came
He's
from
doing
that.
it right now.
We're trying
doing it right now.
We're doing our best. You guys
You're
are doing a great
talking and
job.
drawing at the same
Talking and drawing
time.
at the same time. So we have a Matt Shearer. We have a connection with you and Matt Shearer.
Oh, I love Matt.
Matt used to be our producer years and years and years ago in commercial
Jim
radio.
gave him a very hard time.
I did not. That is really. You're incredible.
And now he's a big star over at WBC.
I didn't give him a hard time.
No, maybe you
maybe
put him
one day. What's that?
You helped him like get his reps or something like
That's
that.
right.
You know?
Explain the Matt Shearer is now BZ Radio, and he's the star
Big
of
star.
BZ Radio. It's spectacular.
Yeah.
Explain what the Matt Shearer connection with you as you draw there, Nick Shea, is.
The first time Matt just sat with me in the park and just chatted with me about what I was doing out there, and I've just stayed like connected to him ever since.
Yeah.
He got me. He involved me with this big stream that he was a part of. There was this guy named iShowSpeed. A lot of young people love him. I
He's
think
got
really,
like millions and millions and millions of followers.
And millions.
Yeah.
I think I read 40 million
Yeah.
to 70 million
Yeah,
sometimes.
and Matt was a part of like organizing his time in Boston, and he asked me to be a part of it. So Matt is really looking out for me and trying to make sure that I'm part of the community.
And what's your $5 deal at the MFA?
So the MFA, it's going to be, it's called Third Thursdays, and they have me a part of some select dates. The museum is $5 admission on Third Thursdays. The next one is November 20th, and I'm just there drawing people. So you pay the admission to get into the museum, see as much art as you can, and
that's great.
Leave with a drawing and maybe a nice chat.
Where do they find you? Where do people find you? You're going to perform again in a second. Where do people find you other than this museum day you and Marjorie just talked about, Nick?
Well, mostly I try to be in the commons as much as I can. The weather is changing, and it's getting cold now. But I try to get out there as much as I possibly can. So yeah, just in the commons. And I wish I had like a real schedule to tell people, but it's a little random. I try to keep it like up to fate. Some people send me messages like, "We're gonna be there July 2029. Are you gonna be around?" I'm like, I hope so. I don't know.
So in 30 seconds, while you're finishing, apparently a drawing
yes.
on one note card of both of us, which is pretty exciting.
Yeah.
What are you going to perform for us, and is it part of the
new album?
New album to come.
Yes.
So the next song is not a part of the new album. It's an older song. Well, it came out earlier this year. I make a lot of stuff, so to me, like if it came out in March, it's old. But it's relatively new. But it's a song about drawing people in the park.
Oh, good.
And just about making art and just like just being appreciative of where I'm at in my artistic journey. So
what's it called?
The song is going to be called "Illuminate My Soul."
Okay, so I can tell because I was looking over Nick's shoulder. He has completed his drawing of Marjorie.
Yeah.
I would get in about 30 seconds he's going to have completed his drawing of me.
I don't want to take up too much time.
No, it's okay. You're not. And at which point he will walk over to the set. And how's he doing, Maria? Good or bad? What do you think so far? Good? Proud of the kid?
Yeah.
You're not. You are proud of him. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, guys.
Okay. How are we doing there? We're close?
I think we're pretty much there.
Yeah, we
Great.
wanted to have a chance to play a song.
Well, he's going to perform it. He's not going to, you know what I mean?
I know. He's going to perform. We want to have a chance. We want to hear the whole song.
Yeah, I very much appreciate the time being
Oh,
here.
no.
Well, we're thrilled to have you,
I
Nick.
utilize this library all the time. I'm always printing stuff and utilizing the InnoLab downstairs.
Oh,
We
yeah?
got a lot of good resources in Boston, and local artists need to take advantage of them.
They
Fabulous.
do. And this is a beautiful library, no?
Absolutely.
The beautiful courtyard. The people haven't seen it. Everybody hasn't seen the courtyard in between here and the next building. It's gorgeous. Not to mention the tea room where you can get wonderful teas, white tablecloths, and nice flowers, and the bar.
I have a great
next
idea.
door to that.
Okay.
Why don't you perform, and after you perform, finish up, give it to us, and we'll show the audience what you did.
Yeah,
Is
you
that
want to
okay?
have time to hear your
It's
song.
up to you. I mean, I do feel like we kind of got it.
We got it?
I try to
Okay.
keep it as quick as possible.
Okay.
I rushed slightly a little bit.
Lay it
Just
on me
knowing that
while
we're
you're
in
going
time.
back to the
I gotta
microphone.
show it to the
minute.
I think
camera.
that's. Can you do that close? That is great. I
We
love
try to go as
that,
quick as we
actually.
can. We'll do our best.
That is
great.
totally great.
That's
I don't know.
great.
Can I tell you,
Yeah.
Marjorie thinks she's going to get this. She's not.
Oh, I'm sorry. I should have handed it to
yeah,
you. I'm
that's
sorry.
Really, this is fabulous.
Take it home, Jim, because
I
when,
love
when
this.
he's famous, maybe I can sell that and make lots of money.
Nick, gently put that down on the table. This is Nick Shea. He's performing "Illuminates My Soul," correct? That's what
Yes,
we're doing?
Illuminates My Soul. That is next.
Nick Shea from East Boston. This is pretty great. Can we put this online at some point? We will. Nick Shea, and by the way, that was a total like 4 minutes drawing both of us. That's a great line. Here he is again, Nick Shea. Welcome back, Nick.
Thank you guys so much. As I said, this is a song loose art throughout my whole life. Thank you guys so much for listening. like over 4 years since my art made food. Got a sincere heart and a drive to pay dues. Got me waking up early and I'ma make my name mean some. You might even see me working in the rain. I'm trying to do it and I still haven't stopped. And I haven't stopped cause I'm really trying to do it. Some people call me stupid, other people call me brave. I don't really care what some people gotta say. I'm just trying to live for me and maybe find a girl that agrees. She want a cat, I want two. Let's go get three. Make a path with no breadcrumbs. Focus on the next one. Grown into a good man. Used to be a hoodlum. Used to be a menace to society. Now I contribute. I was kicked to the curb, so I had to push through. Everywhere I go, somebody saying, hey, cause the art is on my brain. Gonna give us a greater day. And I said, I love that this became my life. Do, 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 do. Yeah. A drop of neon floods my weary eyes. Illuminates my soul, reason why I'm heading your way when the traffic turns my sign. And in the park, I'm on a mission to be great. Keep it simple. Got some people coming in from other states. Got the nod from the city. Running with what you give me. Got some people looking at me like my eyes are so pretty. Don't blink. They ask me how I do it. Don't think. Just trust that everything is happening in sync. Cast bread underwater. Put one in the air. How is it that I see the whole world stuck in a chair? I let it all come to me. It is what it gotta be. Repping East Boston. I wish my nanny could see. I'm getting older, but I feel like I'm only about to start. I want my heart to be the only thing influencing my art. I'ma try to stay protected as best as possible now. Keep a Prismacolor in my pocket walking through your town. Just to let you know it's me and I did it cause I believe I'm on a journey to be great and I got everything I need. I said I love that this became my life. Do 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 do. That's my favorite part. A drop of neon floods my weary eyes. Yeah. Illuminates my soul, reason why I'm heading your way when the traffic turns my sign. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you guys. My name is Nick Shea. New album coming out next week. Show at Blue Triangle at the end of November. And thank you guys again so much for having me. It's been a great time.
All that again. You
Thank
can
you,
follow
Nick.
You can follow Nick Shea Instagram at Real Nick Shea, and that's SHEA Shea. Nick, thank you so much. He's going to have, you say, doing Portraits of the MFA on November 20th, performing at the Blue Triangle Galley in Somerville on November 22nd. His latest album, Mad Rap Versus 2, comes out next Friday. Thank you very much, Nick Shea, for being here. We really appreciate it. Coming up after this quick break, since it is Halloween, we're going to enjoy some candy with chocolate sommelier Victoria Kichuk. I am Marjorie Egan. He is Jim Browder. You're listening to BPR 89.7 live from the Boston Public Library, streaming at youtube.com/GBH News.
This week on Under the Radar with Callie Crossley, a year ago, voters decidedly sent Donald Trump back to the White House. Much has changed, and the president promises much more. What's next? A full hour of political analysis with the mass politics profs. That's Under the Radar with me, Callie Crossley, Sunday night at 6 here on 89.7 GBH and the GBH app.
Support for our programs comes from you.
And SNH Construction, committed to building spaces that work and providing professional management to guide the process. Their podcast, Builder's Notebook, can be heard on all podcast platforms. shconstruction.com. And Thrive Next Gen, delivering comprehensive AI strategies for businesses, from initial planning and data security to full deployment with managed AI. More information is available at thrivenextgen.com/NPR.
Welcome back to BPR. Marjorie Egan, Jim Browder, live at the library. Thank you all. Streaming at youtube.com/GBH News. It's Halloween. You're not supposed to eat yet, Marjorie.
I did. I'm sorry.
It's like violating every rule of something.
Well, Jim, it's too late.
Okay, fine.
Too late.
It's Halloween, and if surveys are to be believed, this is our favorite survey, Marty and mine, in ages. The average American eats through their Halloween candy stash twice before trick-or-treaters arrive, and they have to buy it again. In case you're hoping to avoid that sugary fate and try something a little more elevated, the next segment is for you. We're joined now by chocolate sommelier Victoria Kichuk. She's been with us a bunch of times, who was born on National Chocolate Chip Day. Is that true, or is that... 100%.
We could call my mom right
Can we turn her mic on? Say it again.
It's 100% true. You could call my mom. She'd verify.
I'll call your mom after the show. She's the owner of Cocoa Beantown, a chocolate tour and tasting company, cocoabeantown.com. For more info, Victoria, it's great to see you again. Thanks so much for being here. Appreciate it.
So I am like one of those people that eats all their candy before Halloween. Guess I have to go back and rebuy it.
No,
I
you
did take a
don't.
bite of. No, I took a bite of this before I was supposed to because it's unbelievably great chocolate. So, do people just? I mean, I know you eat a piece of chocolate every night before bed.
More
correct?
than that. Every day at some point.
Every day?
multiple times.
Yeah. And apparently, if you don't have the chocolate before you go to bed, then this disrupts your entire night.
100%. Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
It's just not, the day's not done.
Okay.
How'd you get, can you explain, we know, but if people haven't heard you here before, how'd you get into the chocolate deal?
I was a food writer, but I've loved chocolate since the day I was born, and it's something that the vast majority of people, it's not hard to find chocoholics, but the vast majority of people don't know what they don't know about chocolate. So just like there are wine sommeliers and people that educate about cheese and spirits, there are chocolate educators like myself that want people to know what good stuff is out there.
Now, we've learned a lot from you, but one thing we don't need you to tell us is the cost of chocolate cocoa has gone up dramatically. How's that affecting? You deal, as you're going to talk about 3 women-owned chocolate makers or chocolatiers, whatever the hell they're, in a minute. But how's that affecting the business, particularly of smaller chocolate makers?
It's hard because people are cutting back. You know, chocolate is considered discretionary spending, not for myself.
Not for you, we
but
knew that,
but it's something that there's a lot of nuance to it because chocolate brings people joy, and even though it's not considered a nutritional item, sometimes the simplest, most accessible joy people can get is from having a piece of chocolate.
Yeah, okay. So what is this about for you? This every night before bed, the chocolate. What do you have a routine? I mean, do you wait a little bit after dinner, or what's the scoop?
It varies. I mean, I have to taste chocolate for literally professional development. Mm-hmm. It sounds like a joke line, but I do. And so if I'm preparing a tasting event, Cocoa Beantown, like we'll do holiday corporate gathering tasting events. We're taking bookings for those right now. We can do tastings where the nuance of the chocolate is very subtle. So actually the best time of day to taste chocolate is earlier in the day before your palate has gotten sort of corrupted by all the other chocolate or the other food that you've had throughout the day.
Well, I just had this piece of chocolate. I don't know how you describe this. It's got little nuts in the middle.
Well, that's from one of the chocolate stores, right?
Yeah, let me tell you what you guys...
We'll do one, and then we'll talk, and then do another, and then we'll...
I just want to say really quickly, the quality of this is like night and day. I mean, we're not talking the Reese's you get, even though I love Reese's at CVS. We're talking a whole other level here.
Absolutely. It's like the difference between 2-Buck Chuck and Dom Perignon.
Exactly.
What's wrong with 2-Buck Chuck?
Well, it's not $2 anymore.
Exactly.
That's for sure.
Very good point.
That's true.
Okay, pick one and start.
So we'll start with the one that Marjorie went right in for. This
What's
is
that?
The 1930 bar. So it's that piece that's cut up that looks kind of like a candy bar.
This thing?
Yeah, it's by a wonderful shop in the South End called Bittersweet Violet. Oh. All of the shops that we're featuring today are women-owned and local. She just opened just about a year ago. She worked in advertising, and all of her chocolates are sorts of nostalgic spins in the small batch form. This is her version of a Snickers bar.
I was just going to say, it looks exactly like a high-end Snickers bar.
Well, it is a high-end is the key word.
Yeah.
I mean, I just ate a Snickers bar last night because I bought some for Halloween, and this is
oh my God,
outstanding.
Now, why is that? That is, I love Snickers bars. Don't talk with your mouth full, Jim. That's the only way I can talk right now. Why does that taste so different and better than a Snickers bar? What does she do?
The difference is higher quality ingredients, more authentic ingredients, and also when things are made in smaller batches, there's just a higher probability that people can make it to a higher quality level. When things are made in giant industrial versions, they have to cut corners, and they get cut corners through watering down ingredients and quality.
Bittersweet Violet, where is it again?
In the South End.
Okay, let's go back to, you said chocolate is not a nutritional thing. About twice a year I read something about how if you eat dark chocolate that is above, 85% cocoa content
75,
or something?
80, yeah.
But I don't want to offend you. It doesn't taste that great. So first of all, what is it supposed to do for me? And what am I missing?
Oh, lots of things. It'll improve major blood flow. It'll improve blood flow to your major vital organs. It will improve your memory. It will improve your cardiac function.
It will?
Yeah, all the good stuff in chocolate is contained in higher percentages because it's the stuff that's actually coming from the cacao bean or cocoa bean. And so when you have chocolate that's in lower percentages, lesser percentages, you have more sugar and other things added to it. So that's going to water down the essential healthfulness of it.
Okay, before you get to the second woman in the industry, there are two questions that are really important that Marjorie is obsessed with. We buy lint balls across the street at Christmas by the thousands.
Yeah.
First question.
Christmas, I buy them all year long.
Whatever. Anonymous texter, can you ask if they're lint balls or, as our texter said the other day, lint truffles? Which are they?
Well, they refer to them as lint balls. Technically, they would actually be closer to bonbons than truffles.
Yeah.
Because truffles are technically, should be hand rolled, and they don't hand roll.
Okay, no. Second question. Marjorie has been saying for years that lint balls are fresher at the lint store than CVS.
They are.
No,
they
really.
Are. It's right across the street.
We have a chocolate sommelier here.
Well, we're going to ask her.
Is she right, or is this total BS?
She probably is not doing lint balls.
Well, maybe she is.
Well,
They're not as high-end as this.
I have some insight in general.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, it will be because they'll get shipments more regularly.
Exactly.
CVS, you're not sure how often they're coming in.
I'm sorry
from like 1990.
What's the second woman-owned chocolate deal you're talking about?
Okay, so the little square piece
what is
this? A salted caramel from Graham Nuts and Chocolate in Concord, another woman-owned business. This is a house-made salted caramel, just a classic flavor, but again, made in small batches. Nice chew on it without being overly sticky. Nikki, the owner, started this shop in Concord with the idea to curate items, not only making their own nut roast, but also small batch.
By the way, that is not good. That is spectacular. I mean, that is.
We have something in common. I, too, eat chocolate every night.
You
after
do?
dinner. Yes.
You never told me that.
I do, with the lint balls from across the street.
Sorry, yeah.
I mean, they're not as high-end.
By the way, they're lint bonbons.
Whatever they are.
Yes.
And it's just sort of an end of the day kind of thing. You've had your dinner, you have a chocolate. It's great.
Okay, so that's
And
Graham Nuts.
yep.
That's in Concord.
Yep.
Bittersweet Violet, all women-owned operations in the South End. What's the third one?
So the little dark chocolate bar piece is a bean-to-bar maker called Fruition. It's being sold at Cacao, which is located in the South End, but also the financial district in Newton Highlands.
Really
and
good, too.
That cafe is a great place. You can get chocolate in every form there. They do drinking chocolate. They do pastries and baked goods. They've got an excellent chocolate chip cookie. They have a bean-to-bar wall, which is where that bar came from. And then also they make some of their own barks and truffles.
So when you went to MIT and Harvard and presented, what were you presenting? About the differences among chocolates, or what was the deal?
All sorts of things. We have a great Massachusetts chocolate history that goes back to colonial times. The very first chocolate factory in North America was the Baker's Chocolate Factory in Dorchester.
I did not know that.
Nor did I.
There's also a lot of science elements of chocolate, like we just said about the healthful benefits. I just came back from presenting at the Northwest Chocolate Festival in Seattle, which is the largest chocolate festival in North America. And there's so many ways to connect chocolate to different lenses of history, geography, culture.
Let me tell you something you probably don't know, even though you're an expert. These chocolates go beautifully with a tuna fish sandwich from the Newsfeed Cafe. Okay, one last thing for people who don't know. Give us in a minute the full spectrum of chocolate services your operation provides. What can you do for people?
Absolutely. So anytime you need a chocolate expert, I'm your gal. But the events that Cocoa Bean Town does include everything from chocolate tours in Boston. We have actually a Super Chocoholic tour coming up on November 15th to help raise funds for the Greater Boston Food Bank.
Good for you.
Tickets
That's
are
great.
available on CocoaBeanTown.com right now.
CocoaBeanTown.com. Okay.
Chocoholic tour, I love it.
Yep, and then also bringing it internationally. I was really lucky to attend a trip to Peru this summer.
Oh my God.
And I was so impressed by the company that did that, a company called Cacao Life International. We're actually going to be partnering with them to do a trip next July to Peru. So chocolate fans of any kind can come and see the origin of chocolate culturally, where cacao farms are growing the stuff that we need to make chocolate. We do chocolate tasting events. All your holiday parties that want a chocolate
really
tasting experience, call Cocoa Bean Town, get on our website. We'll be happy to help you out.
Is chocolate going to survive climate change?
Oh gosh, I hope so. We're working on it. Well, I'm not personally working on it, but I know folks that are working on genetic hybrids, trying to stabilize the trees, get them more disease resistant. That's part of why pricing has gone up. There was a big blight in West Africa.
15 seconds. If you're this into chocolate, which you are, why are you not the size of the late Cheese Man? I mean, really, Cheese Man died. We're very sad about that.
He was
the North
4x4?
End. He was, what's the deal?
I walk a lot.
Okay. These are great. Thank you. All women-owned operations. Check them out. It's great to see you. We've missed you. Thanks so much for being here. Appreciate it.
Happy Halloween, everyone.
And to you, of course. You look great, by the way. I love the hat.
I tell you, not getting chocolate like this tonight for the kids, though. Save this for the grown-ups. We are speaking with chocolate sommelier and the owner of Cocoa Bean, Beantown, Victoria Kichuk. CocoaBean.com is her website. Thank you so much for coming in. After the 1 o'clock news, NBC10's Sue O'Connell. You're listening to BPR and 89.7 GBH at the Boston Public Library.
You can make a lasting impact on the station that has provided local news and conversation throughout the years by naming GBH in your estate plans. Be part of the legacy of public radio in New England. Learn more at wgbh.org/planning.
Support for GBH comes from you.
And Blue Cross Blue Shield of Massachusetts, offering PPO and HMO Medicare Advantage plans with a broad network of doctors and hospitals. BlueCrossMA.com/go. And Subaru of New England. Wherever New England takes you, the all-wheel drive 2025 Subaru Outback is designed for fall adventures. Subaru retailer locations at SubaruofNewEngland.com.
You're listening to 89.7 WGBH HD1 Boston. Online at gbhnews.org. GBH News. What matters to you?
I'm Jim Browdy, head on Hour 3 of BPR, back live again from the Boston Public Library. Start with our favorite local woman, NBC10 media maven Sue O'Connell. We'll get her thoughts on a legendary Boston strip club moving to a new neighborhood, the latest on Karen Reed and her lawyer making negative allegations against Boston's police commissioner, and how a British newspaper got duped by a fake Bill de Blasio.
I'm Marjorie Egan. Then we'll end the show as we always do with you, a Halloween trick-or-treating potpourri edition. Tonight's the ghoulish night, when the little ones go door to door in search of sugary snacks. What are the rules you follow? If the kid is over 6'5", no candy? Do you control the flow of candy, or let the little monsters grab as many bars as they can? Halloween etiquette and you, next in the third hour, BPR 89.7 GBH, live from the Boston Public Library.
Live from NPR News, I'm Lakshmi Singh. A federal judge seems likely to rule that the Trump administration must pay SNAP food benefits despite the government shutdown. But NPR's Jennifer Ludden reports that even if that happens, some delays in payments are expected, and people will get less than they normally do.
The federal government usually sends SNAP funding to states well before the first of the month because it takes days to distribute it onto people's debit-like cards. Now, there's an added complication. The Agriculture Department's contingency money falls short of full SNAP funding for November. The administration has said calculating partial payments would be a logistical nightmare that could take weeks. States and cities across the country have been preparing for a lapse. They're ramping up donations to food banks, offering protections if people fall behind on their bills, even shifting their own budgets to pay some amount of food aid to SNAP recipients temporarily. Jennifer Ludden, NPR News, Washington.
The FBI has arrested 20 people, including 2 sheriffs and 14 current or former police officers. It's part of a years-long law enforcement corruption investigation in the Mississippi Delta. Mississippi Public Broadcasting's Will Stribling reports.
Prosecutors say the officers took bribes to protect what they believed were cocaine shipments being moved through the Delta and into Memphis, Tennessee. Here's U.S. Attorney Clay Joyner.
In Mississippi, you had marked vehicles and uniformed officers driving down the road, protecting what everyone understood to be a drug shipment.
Joyner says it was a controlled sting, so 55 pounds of cocaine and briefcases full of drug money weren't really transported. But the bribes were real, with some officers taking more than $30,000. The defendants have all been granted bond. They face a slew of bribery, firearm, and drug trafficking charges. For NPR News, I'm Will Stribling in Oxford, Mississippi.
Israel's top military lawyer has resigned amid questions over a leaked video that showed Israeli soldiers severely abusing a Palestinian detainee. NPR's Eba Trawi has more.
Ifat Tomer Yerushalmi resigned from the post after submitting a letter saying she authorized the release of the video to stand guard over the rule of law. The alleged rape of a Palestinian detainee in Israel's Sde Timan prison came to light in a surveillance video leaked to Israeli media last year. It showed Israeli soldiers surrounding a bound and blindfolded Palestinian detainee with riot shields to block visibility while they allegedly raped him with a sharp object, tearing his rectum, puncturing a lung, and breaking his ribs. An Israeli military court charged the 5 with wrongdoing at the time, outraging right-wing Israelis who protested the indictment and stormed the prison in protest. In her resignation letter, Tomer Yerushalmi said it's her duty to investigate acts that must not be committed, but that not all are convinced by this. Aya Batrawi, NPR News.
This is NPR.
Good afternoon. With the latest from the GBH newsroom, I'm Henry Santoro. The Leominster man whose family claimed ICE used his young daughter as bait to detain him has been released on bond. Edwards Mejia was released earlier this week after going before an immigration judge. His lawyer, Jacob Geller, says Mejia had no criminal history beyond a domestic dispute.
The judge agreed that that was insufficient to find that he was a danger to the community. Outside of that, her position was that he was a low flight risk, but she did apply some bond to his case to make sure that he appears at court.
Federal authorities have denied using Mejia's daughter as bait, claiming he abandoned the 5-year-old in his car as agents tried to take him into custody. More Massachusetts pot retailers have surrendered their licenses in fiscal year 2025 than in the previous 7 years since the industry began here in Massachusetts. Boston Business Journal reports 13 retail licenses were surrendered, revoked, or not renewed this fiscal year. In retrospect, and prior to July 2024, just 9 total retail licenses were suspended or surrendered since the first shops opened in 2018. In sports, Celtics in Philadelphia tonight for the NBA Cup. The World Series continues tonight. The Dodgers at the Blue Jays. Toronto leads 3-2. They could win it all tonight. And college hockey, well, it's not quite the Beanpot yet, but Northeastern is playing BC tonight. Sun, clouds, and wind today, high near 60, 55 right now. This is GBH News.
Support for NPR comes from ARM, committed to delivering innovative, advanced computing designed to enable worldwide companies to unleash the capabilities and experiences of AI. The future of AI is built on ARM. ARM.com. This is NPR.
Welcome to hour number 3 of Boston Public Radio. Jim Brady and Marjorie Egan. We are broadcasting live from the Boston Public Library. It's kind of disgraceful the way we're all fighting over the chocolate that's left here for us. Want a piece of this? Want a piece of that? Want a piece of the other thing? Okay. We are streaming at youtube.com/GBH News. A couple of programming notes, all coming up next week, or not all next week, some of them anyway, at the Boston Public Library. The Attorney General will be with us on Tuesday, as will Senator Ed Markey, the AG 811, Markey at noon. He's going to Zoom in. The governor will be with us at 11 o'clock on Wednesday, and the mayor of Boston the following week, the 18th, noon to 1. Yo-Yo Ma, the world-renowned cellist, is not only going to be with us on November 19th, he's going to play for us on November 19th. Thank you very much. Hello, Jim.
Thank you very much for what?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know why I said that.
Well, it's very nice. Well, it's very nice of you to say, by the way. By the way, this Nick Shea drawing that he did in about 4 minutes, the two of us, we're going to post online somewhere. Are we doing this? Sure we are. Okay, fine. We are. We don't know where or when or what, but we will. It was pretty great. We're joined now, speaking of pretty great, at the BPL desk by our favorite local woman, media maven Sue O'Connell. Sue is the co-publisher of Bay Windows and the South End News, commentator and news influencer.
That's right.
At NBC10 Boston. She's here to influence us. Good day.
Good
Sue
day.
O'Connell.
Good day to you. Good day.
Good day to have, good to
Ran
have
into
you.
Sue outside the zipper store yesterday.
Yes, we were
just
outside the
discussing
zipper
that.
Is that a true
Zipper
story?
Yes.
Why were you in the zipper store?
Because I needed a new zipper.
Oh,
I
that
was
makes
not
sense.
in the zipper store.
Where
I
were
was
you?
near the zipper store.
You were near. Okay,
yes.
fine.
Yeah, a lot goes on at that
Because
zipper
you did
store.
not need a zipper.
I didn't need a zipper.
You never have
no
enough
reason.
zippers. Is
Never.
the way I look at
How
things.
about a good button store? You ever been to a great button
Well,
store
Windsor
where the whole
Button.
thing Windsor Button?
Windsor Button. I spent hours.
Was
at
that on
Windsor
Temple
Button.
Place? Where was
It
that?
was in downtown
Yeah,
Crossing.
yeah.
I used to go there all the
was
time.
great.
You know, now what do you do if your button
It's called
falls
the
off?
internet.
The internet. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
So this really upset me. John Keller, he's been on BZ TV for years, has done debates for years, a great reporter. He's one of the casualties of Paramount spying CBS.
Yes, John is a great commentator, a great journalist. John and I didn't work together at the Boston Phoenix, but we shared Boston Phoenix together. I think I joined right after he left. And he's no Jim Braude, but he has helped my career quite a bit.
Oh, okay.
Just so you know, I mean, he got me on with Charlie Manning on BZ-TV the night of the gubernatorial race between Coakley and Charlie Baker. And I was on NBC10 a lot, but that was the first time I was on, a 4 or 5,
I didn't know that.
a 7. Yeah,
That's
so
great.
and he has always been very supportive for me and a great. We don't talk a lot. I don't want to make it sound like we see each other all the time, but when I run into him, he would be great. I mean, the challenge here, of course, is they're going through these layoffs. NBC went through them last year, or the beginning of the year. They're going through them now. Obviously, the conflict of Barry Weiss being in charge of the network now, the news network part of it, and she's a commentator. I guess there's hope for me to be in charge of a news network someday, and the cuts that are being made there. And I tell this to my family all the time about being a commentator. I'm a spice, and if they don't think they need the spice, they don't need me, right? So it's a hard place right now to be in television news being a commentator because it's not always the most important thing to get on the air. So it's a challenge.
You know something? It just shows how sometimes management has no idea what they're doing. One of the great talents for years on CNN, Jeannie Most. Was she not like appointment listening? She was very funny.
One of the greatest
spicy,
reporters ever lived.
Spicy like you. They got rid of her. Big mistake.
Yeah.
And you need a little comic
No, I
relief.
think you do. I just think you need that kind of analysis. And John does a great job with, on all fronts, but with the debates. He asks the hard questions when he's got guests on. And, there's been a lot over there of them being able to broadcast stuff on programming on the websites and on YouTube when they have regular programming. So I'm disappointed that John is leaving not of his own free will. So I'm sad about that.
Two things. One, he's still at masslive.com
Yes.
as far as I know.
He's
You
got
can
a
read his
great
stuff.
column that he writes
Is
regularly.
it inappropriate to complain about John in one way? Let me tell you.
Well, it's
what
you,
I
Jim.
do.
Yeah.
Here's the deal. I've had this experience, so has Marjorie, she just doesn't realize it, about 50 times. For a couple of decades, Marjorie and I have done a debate between the lead candidates in almost every gubernatorial, U.S. Senate, whatever race. Okay, here's what happens. The person you work with who sets up the debates calls the candidates' people maybe a nanosecond after they've won the primary, and you say, Jim and Marjorie would like to do a debate. They prefer the first debate. If not, they take the last debate. What does the spokespeople always say?
John Keller's already called.
Exactly, and John has the first debate.
Yeah.
And I literally, for decades, no matter how fast we were, I mean, this is a tribute, by the way, to his skills and context. He always got the first debate if he wanted to do a debate, which is not nothing, by the way.
No, that's a big deal.
Because that's often when the interest, but having said that, he's a really talented, really smart guy.
Yes.
And I hope, in addition to his work at Mass Live, he'd land somewhere else in broadcast radio or TV. He's a great one, and we're really lucky to have him. Now, speaking of someone we're lucky not to have, Prince Andrew is, what is the expression? Unhoused, I believe.
Untitled.
What happened to Prince Andrew?
Well, his big brother, the king, took away his crown, pretty much. Took away his title, took away a lot of the things that come along with that are also going to be going away for Prince Andrew. And the speculation is, of course, this is related to the Epstein files and his relationship with the Giuffre, the woman, Virginia Giuffre, who recently died by
relationship
suicide.
Is not a fair word.
Right.
She was 17 years old.
No, I didn't mean that kind of relationship.
Okay.
I just meant the relationship that he had with the case with the allegations against him regarding what he did to her, and that they know more than and they're reacting in advance to what is going to come out. So I think it's a huge admission. I think that would be safe to say, Marjorie, that the royal family, the business of the royal family, which it is a business, is reacting to the damage that could happen from this. And they are still reeling from the other kind of damage that they've had with Harry and Meghan Markle, which is a different thing, obviously, entirely. But they are working to
You know, the Brits have taken this in many ways much more seriously than we have. We can't even get a vote to get these Epstein.
That's a wonderful point.
Yep. That guy that was a big deal in politics, he got ousted, the British guy. I should look him up, or maybe the staff can look him up. A guy that was associated with Epstein. He lost his job, got pushed out in disgrace.
But let me say, all along, Andrew has been denying this. Right. And you've all seen, he's originally said he didn't know her. And then we see the photograph with his arm around a 17-year-old kid, young woman.
Yeah. And she looks so young.
She looks so young. And not to mention the fact that he settled a civil case, and always these guys say, well, not admitting any guilt, which he did not have to do. The most recent thing, I think, and then obviously the worst interview maybe in America, in the history of the world with the BBC about this thing. The latest,
U.S. ambassador. It was Fire's ambassador, Peter
UK.
Mandelson, over the Epstein
the final shoe to drop, I think, were the emails, and I don't know if it's in Giuffre's book or it just came out recently, where he's corresponding after the fact with Epstein about saying, the fun will continue, or some such grotesque kind of thing. And the thing that troubles me, even though Charles has done more than most might do, it's not enough. I mean, the fact that this guy is walking the streets, he still is going to have a house on the King's grounds or something, when I think the evidence is fairly overwhelming that he's a rapist. He's a serial rapist. Of a minor is just incredible.
However, that the royal family has taken the action, which is somewhat unprecedented.
That's true. No, you're right.
And he will forever be remembered as this.
That's good.
And whatever he did before this, and whatever characterization of him will be gone. And this is what will be his final episode.
Speaking of what he did before this is the first time I've known Marjorie for a couple of decades. We've been doing the radio 26 years. This is the first time where I knew more about a royal event than she did.
Well,
and
this wasn't originally on my list. I was like, what's happening?
I know.
No, she knew this. What she did not know is that Andrew's former wife, Fergie, has been living in the whatever
you
that.
didn't know that?
That she did not know that.
No, they have rejoined as a family. I don't know.
Small.
I know this. Do you know why I know this?
The toe sucking.
Because Fergie told me. She did. Yes. What do you mean? Just before all this bad, terrible news hit, probably 5 years ago.
Oh, of course. I remember this. Go ahead.
The Duchess Fergie was at an event.
The Duchess Fergie.
Fergie was at an event, and we went, and she was lovely and nice and delightful.
Didn't your kid meet her
My
too?
kid met her, and
Ruby.
I'll give you some inside baseball. So I prep Ruby sometimes for these events. This is when I think Ruby was 18 or 17, and she said, "What am I going to say to the Duchess?" I said, "Well, let's see. What do you have in common?" Okay, Ruby's been adopted. She was internationally adopted. Fergie actually did a lot of work with international adoption and orphanages, I think in Romania, in the terrible conditions after she.
Good for her.
Yeah. So I said, go up and say to her, I really appreciate the work you've done on international adoption.
Great
As
idea.
someone who was adopted, it means a lot to me. And the royals don't touch you. They never touch you. They always stand with their hands in front of you. They'll shake your hand, but you can't touch them.
Trump touched Queen Elizabeth.
I know, and that was a big problem.
Break in protocol.
And Fergie grabbed Ruby's arms and brought her into her, and they had a moment, and everybody took all these pictures.
Oh my God!
And luckily, it made our holiday card, because if it had happened a few months later, I wouldn't have been able to put her on the holiday card because of Andrew.
Oh, that's a very good point, by the way.
Yeah, but anyway, so she told us then how much she loved Andrew and how they were going to rejoin their family together. They weren't going to be necessarily a couple, but so yeah, she's sticking by him and the kids are sticking by him. But again, this is going to be a stain on his. I think it's not even a stain. It's going to be his legacy.
You're right. It's more than most have done, but it ain't enough.
She was a spokesperson for Weight Watchers.
Yeah,
for a while.
she was indeed.
That's
I always
right.
kind of liked her. I always thought she was a hot
Based
thing.
on-
She's a
based on
commoner.
what?
She's a commoner.
What's it?
She's a commoner.
What was the toe
It's like
sucking incident again? What was
She
that?
was
On a yacht.
With whom?
She was
Somebody.
photographed, some Texas billionaire.
Sucked her toes.
Well,
Pictures.
I'm not
I mean,
sure.
I'm not against it.
somebody's got to do it. I mean,
I'm not against it. I mean, in terms of what we're talking about here, I
Don't
think we
knock
should
it.
be
That's a very
celebrating
good-
it. I think we should be celebrating toe sucking
Well, you
and
know what they
encouraging
say,
it.
Very
don't
good
knock
point.
it till you try it.
Right.
So, exactly.
what does that mean?
You might like it, Jim.
Oh, you might?
Yeah, you never know.
Okay, fine.
Okay, so this Texas judge,
The whole Supreme Court.
Yeah, the whole Supreme Court. You're right. The impact on same-sex marriages coming out of this Texas case.
But this is the, which one is
Texas
this?
Texas Supreme Court basically saying that on religious grounds.
Oh, yeah.
You can refuse. There was that woman a while ago who refused.
Yeah.
No, she refused to marry a gay couple.
Right.
And she got in. She was reprimanded for that. But now they're taking it up again. The idea that you can refuse to perform a ceremony between a gay couple on the basis, or a gay couple ceremony on the basis of quote sincerely held religious beliefs.
And by the way, it was unanimous. All Republicans, and it was unanimous. They said you can refuse to perform the service.
Yeah, it's
for
the
same-sex couples.
the complete slippery slope here of these little big bites and nibbles at the right to same-sex marriage, which we're seeing. I was watching MSNBC, I think this week, and Mary Bonato from GLAAD was on. Mary Bonato, of course,
She's great. Yeah.
made the argument in front of the Supreme Court. And the panel, it's interesting because in these times, it's hard to decide what to worry about and what is an alarm and what is concern. And Mary was expressing great concern about the future of same-sex marriage and the attacks against it. There were some other people on the panel who were like, this is not the case that's really going to dismantle it. Like the cake case and the religious freedom, for lack of a better term, case here out of Texas are nibbling away at the foundation, but may not be enough to repeal it. But I think the bottom line here is that same-sex marriage is under attack in many ways, and that if folks care about it, they need to take action to protect it.
Two things about it. The most significant thing, I wasn't aware that people don't think these are the cases that'll make reverse the law in the Supreme Court, a la what Dobbs did to Roe v. Wade. In Dobbs, wasn't in Dobbs in his dissent, not as in his dissent, in his concurring opinion, Clarence Thomas, who most people think is the most important justice now under Trump, said that the court should relook at Obergefell and the same-sex marriage thing. That's first. So it really is ominous. And the second thing, I read a lot of legal experts on this Texas Supreme Court case, Texas Supreme Court, not U.S. Supreme Court, and they make a credible argument that if somebody has a religious objection to interracial marriage, you should not perform
Jim, this
that
is the
marriage.
same argument we've been having about same-sex marriage and who can say I accept it or don't. If you're divorced and want to get remarried and someone is a Catholic who believes that divorce is wrong, you know, when they come for same-sex marriage, they're not just coming for the gays. They're coming for everyone. And if you can say, I'm against this on religious grounds, I don't want to grant you this legal license or house you in this hotel or bake you a cake, it is an incredibly slippery slope for everyone, whether you're divorced or you're unmarried. I mean, we're all old enough to remember. I remember going on the road trip with a family member in the 1970s, a family trip, and two of the people, a man and a woman, grown-ups in their 30s, weren't married. And there was, down south, a hotel that didn't want to give them a room together, right? This is in the 70s, right? That's where we're going. Yeah. And the way they're going to get there is by attacking same-sex marriage via religious issues. And again, if you're divorced and you want to buy a cake from a Catholic baker, they might say, no, I'm not going to sell it to you.
You know what's rich about it, too? Arguably one of the most corrupt justices and one of the most grifting justices ever is the justice who is deciding, and by the way, this is a guy, for those who aren't students of Clarence Thomas, who is against affirmative action and admits he wouldn't have gotten in the Holy Cross were it not for affirmative action. I mean, it just, the hypocrisy is grotesque.
And the panel on
and is married to a white woman, by the way, which also makes, she's a whole other cuttlefish.
That's a whole nother thing. And the other thing that the panel noted was that if same-sex marriage, the same case came up in front of the Supreme Court, we wouldn't have
same-sex marriage.
That's a
wonderful point.
Isn't that
That's a very good
somehow,
point.
though, preferencing a religion that is against same-sex marriage? Isn't that?
Yeah, Marjorie,
doesn't that
listen,
get into the
again,
church and state
I have said this a million times. If you want to object to something because you think it's in your religion, prove to me that you're religious.
Or
prove to me that you're religious.
Or prove that you're not. I mean, I always wait for another religion to take a case and say they're interfering with my religious practice because they're recognizing.
Some Jewish women tried to do that on abortion out of Florida.
That my religion is okay with this, and so
or just has no
why
stance
is
against it. Right.
Preferenced over Judaism.
No, we are on our way to a Christian
or
nation.
Buddhism.
No, but by the way, your question, respectfully, is not enough to say, prove to me that you really believe this. Even if you believe
it shouldn't be
this
the law.
Supreme Court decides that religion matters more than virtually every other civil right.
Right.
I mean,
it's frankly fake religion a lot of the time.
It absolutely is. It's not mentioned in the Bible.
Christian nationalism is not really, I don't think, based on the New Testament.
Teachings of Jesus,
I
the
would
Prince
say
of Peace. You don't think that the latest Christians are examples of the Prince of Peace's teachings?
And the one thing he does talk about, he doesn't talk about abortion, but he does talk about divorce. So why aren't they trying to outlaw divorce?
I'm all for it.
If that's what you're talking, if you're supposedly such a great Christian.
I'm just drawing a blank. When you say the gays a minute ago, what's the great Jennifer Coolidge line in White Lotus? One of the great songs.
The gays are trying to
kill
me.
That's right, the gays are
trying to kill me.
One of the great scenes. She's just a genius.
Okay, so I'm not sure what to make of this. Maybe you can tell me. Boston Police Commissioner Michael Cox, according to the lawyer, this Alan Jackson fellow who's one of Karen Reed's attorney, knew one of the witnesses that was going to be in the case and was untruthful by claiming he had nothing to do with the Karen Reed case. So
says Alan Jackson.
Says Alan Jackson. That's right.
Explain that to us first before you give it.
So, a Boston police officer, Kelly Dever, was a Canton police officer who gave information gave testimony in the federal investigation into the investigation of Karen Reed, and said that she saw certain people in the Canton garage, the Sally Port, around Karen Reed's car at a certain time. Okay, she gave that, and then in the second trial, because it was able to be revealed, she got on the stand as a witness for the defense and was practically a hostile witness, and then said, she's now a Boston police officer, said that was a false memory she had. She doesn't remember having that. So what
is a false memory? You just imagined it?
Well, in my family, we call it a lie, basically. And so she had a false memory and could not remember, and she said that Alan Jackson, she's a Boston police officer, said Alan Jackson was threatening her when he called and said, I'm going to ask you hard questions. So we also found out that she had a meeting with Commissioner Cox where it doesn't appear that it was necessarily about the Karen Reed trial or the police officer's testimony. I think everyone agrees he told her to do the right thing. We don't know what that was about. Alan Jackson is saying that he basically met with this young police officer when he doesn't usually meet with young police officers.
Cox doesn't.
Yep. And gave her this advice in order to keep the blue wall of silence and to go ahead and go up on the stand and say whatever she ended up saying. So, Alan Jackson has now sent this letter saying that Cox should be on the Brady list regarding comments that he made about not having met.
Explain what the Brady list
That's
is.
for police officers who are untrustworthy when it comes to testifying, and so therefore she can't testify. He wouldn't be able to testify. This police officer has left the force since then. Listen, Karen Reed is about to announce lawsuits against a number of people. This case is not going away at all. I honestly, I don't know what the situation here is with Commissioner Cox, whether he was just not paying enough attention to the Karen Reed trial and didn't know that this young officer was going to testify or not. But it is just another kind of collateral damage of, issues. And it comes down to this officer getting up on the stand and not being truthful.
By the way, CNN is just reporting that Andrew, former Prince Andrew, can stay on royal grounds through the holidays. I'm sorry. I mean, if you do it, you do it, and not enough.
Well,
he's
going to live in the king's private estate. That's where he's going to live. Like, aren't
but
those
not
royal
as a prince,
grounds?
and not. Well, that's brother to brother.
Brother to brother.
Can we get back to this for a second? First of all, has Cox made any public response to this?
I don't think that he had. I mean, that's part of. No, I think he said he didn't. I'm not exactly sure.
Can I just comment on that for a second? I have very limited interaction with him. He's been on the show. I have great respect for him based on what I know. However, if a serious allegation is made against a public official, I say this all the time, you have an obligation, not a legal obligation, an obligation to the public to answer the damn charge. We are entitled to know. The people of Boston, who he's protecting, are entitled to know if what Alan Jackson is saying is true. And if it's not true, say it. And if it is true, explain it. It drives me nuts.
Sue O'Connell, one last thing. You mentioned that Karen Reed is suing a lot of people. And
Will be.
And I guess she's upset because this has been a devastating situation for her. But I don't know how I feel about suing witnesses in a trial.
True. I mean, there's the impact of suing witnesses is that it is detrimental to future cases of people who might be a witness.
Yes.
If you believe the witnesses' stories, look, she called us, we showed up. We don't know what the heck happened here. We got dragged into this. Our lives have been ruined as well. If you believe the other Karen Reed side of it, is you're all lying. You've devastated my life. I didn't kill John O'Keefe. You guys are the ones that conspired, if not to kill him, or to conspire to hide evidence that would have exonerated me. So I understand both sides of this in that case. I mean, I don't think that I would have the fight in me to continue suing people but she is being sued by John O'Keefe's family, as are the bars that the Waterfall and C.J. McCarthy's. So, I mean, it's just a really messy situation with a number of people who I believe got up on the stand under oath and at best were evasive and at worst were lying, and now this is the aftermath.
So it's a defamation kind of thing.
Well, I'm not sure. I'm not sure what the lawsuits will be.
Okay.
I think there's one for the state police that's coming that would probably be wrong. I'm not sure exactly what the legal term for the wrongful charges are or bad investigation.
Are you still in touch with her? And anything you can share with us?
Well, I mean, I know that what I'm telling you is what she's told me. So.
Okay. Before you go, you can be the first sort of caller. This is our annual Halloween talker where Marjorie and I actually agree on this. There should be a height limit, an age limit, a deep voice limit. You have to wear a costume or else you can't come to my house and get a piece of candy.
Yeah.
Where are you?
The only requirement I have is that you have to have a costume on.
Yeah.
I don't care how old you are. Considering how much candy we all eat around the office and at home, what was the stat? We just saw that people eat 3 times the amount of candy before they actually even hand the first one out. I think that if we, I love it when we have people from other countries who come here for the first time and see this begging from door to door that we do to get free candy from our neighbors. But I think it brings us together, Jim, and especially in this time.
Go.
If you're a grown-up and you want to go door to door dressed up, I think that's fine. I do have a time, though.
What is it?
I never get trick-or-treaters because I've weirdly always lived somewhere where we don't get trick-or-treaters.
Wait, but what? But
the rare moments when I'm actually have a home that has trick-or-treaters, the cutoff is at 8:30.
Oh, okay.
So
that's very generous.
Yeah, so
mine is 8 o'clock.
No, 8:30 is the cutoff.
That's it.
If the cutoff is 8:30, I would probably get home about 8:40. Give or take. You ever slid down on your couch and turn the lights off?
So my daughter, this is the Ruby show. She was terrified of Halloween until she was about 6.
And?
So the first Halloween, she spent hysterically crying. She was just over a year old, hysterically crying while we were in a small apartment, and we actually did get trick-or-treaters, so we had to hide in the back of the house.
I like that.
And then we did send an adult out to go get candy for her when we moved and put all the shades down so no one would come. But now she loves Halloween, so that has worked out fine.
So does my younger kid. She's going to be sitting at the door tonight. Okay, Sue O'Connell.
Thank you very much,
Sue O'Connell.
Happy Halloween to you, too.
Happy Halloween.
We've been speaking with Sue O'Connell, co-publisher of Bay Windows and South End News, commentator and news influencer at NBC Boston. Thank you, Sue. Coming up after this quick break, as Jim just said, we're talking about Halloween with you, opening the phone and text lines at 877-301-8970. It's a Halloween grab bag. Is a 6'5" teenager at your door a little much? How about those 12-foot skeletons you see on everybody's lawn? How many candy bars are allowed? Or a lot of people don't even do the whole bars. They have the little things from CVS, and the little Snickers are like about as...
You do whole bars?
No, I don't.
Oh, you don't? Okay.
I don't.
It's expensive.
I know. Anyway, Halloween potpourri. That's next. He's Jim Browdy. I'm Marjorie Egan. You're listening to BPR and 89.7 GBH, live from the Boston Public Library, and streaming at youtube.com/GBH News.
Florence Welch has played through broken bones while bleeding, pouring everything into her performance. She says something almost inhuman takes over that makes her keep on going.
I feel like the stage, I'm allowed to let this beast of energy out.
I'm Elsa Chang, the Florence and the Machine frontwoman on her next album, Everybody Scream, on the next All Things Considered PR News.
Today at 4, here on GBH News 89.7.
Our programs are made possible thanks to you.
And the Damore McKim School of Business at Northeastern University, where MBA and master's degree students can build vital business skills through experience. Learn more at northeastern.edu/business. And Woods Hole Oceanographic Institution, committed to sustaining the ocean that sustains us all through research, education, and engineering. You can learn about the campaign for our ocean planet at whoi.edu.
Welcome back to BPR. Marjorie Egan, Jim Browdy, live at the Boston Public Library. We're back at the library, normal days, Tuesday, Wednesday, and whatever it is, Friday. Streaming at youtube.com/GBH News. Governor and Senator Markey Zooming. The AG and Markey on Tuesday. The AG will be here. Markey will Zoom in. Senator Markey. Governor Healy will be here 11 to 12 on Wednesday. Marjorie and the rest of the team made a fuss this morning, so we won't be continuing our debate on daylight saving time. Please email Jamie to complain at bpr@wgbh.org. Since it's a Halloween thing today, we're ending the week opening phone and text lines for your trick-or-treating. Let's call them ground rules at 877-301-8970. What age are you cutting your kid off from going door to door? Or rather, what height are you cutting them off? 6 feet, 6'7"? And do teenagers get candy when they come to your door dressed holding a pillowcase and dressing in their finest sweatpants? How much candy are you letting your kid eat tonight before you confiscate their stash and take your 10% of Reese's Cups? Of course, we're open to talk about all other Halloween issues, too. If you have thoughts on those giant skeletons, which I hate, thoughts on king size versus fun size, thoughts on the person in your office who came to work in a giant panda costume. The number is 877-301-8970 to call or text all things Halloween protocol. Do you want to start things off?
Yeah, I didn't know that some places actually charge people. In Chesapeake, Virginia, once decided that over the age of 14, you face a Class 4 misdemeanor and a $250 fine.
If you're over 14
yeah,
years
I guess
old.
they don't really enforce it, but I thought that was a little much over the top, a misdemeanor. And they have this survey in U.S. today, 19% of adults felt kids should stop trick-or-treating around 17 or 18, which is pretty old. 18% said 15 to 16, and 1% said kids older than 9. I'm surprised it was that old. Like, I'm with you. If I see somebody that's like 6'2" with no costume, I'm not exactly. I mean, I'll give them some candy, but I just said, don't you have something better to do?
They say go to Marjorie's house.
Go to
877.
Marjorie's house. Now, this texter says all kids get candy, even if they're 6'7" and juniors in high school, making the effort. They always say thank you. Parents get candy too if they want it. We also are home brewers. So if adults want beer, we can pour a fresh draft beer in an orange Solo cup to go. Wow. They're really into Halloween. Don't you know a lot of people that are really into Halloween, though?
Yeah, but how do you feel when someone gets dressed up and goes to work in a costume? How do you feel? Tell the truth. Yes, a grown-up.
It's a little unusual.
Yeah, but that's not... See, typical you, by the way. How do you really feel about it?
Well, I think that's odd. I just think it's odd. Yeah. But I know people that they're really into it. They decorate their houses tremendously. They kind of have a party. They're out in their front lawn or their front stoop with the candy, and they're drinking wine, like this person talking about the beer. They invite all the neighborhood friends over. There are certain streets in certain towns that get their Halloween street, right? Mm-hmm. And everybody goes there, and people spend hundreds of dollars on Halloween candy, and it becomes a big, you know, the toilet papering and the when you get the spray, the whipped cream bottles, and people squirt them and all that kind of stuff.
Sure. Do you do that?
No, Jim, I'm a grandmother. I don't
you
do those
are?
kind of, no, I'm going to watch.
By definition of your grandmother, you have grandkids.
I do have
like
grandkids.
This.
Well, they're little.
So what are you doing with them?
I'm going trick-or-treating with them
you
later
are
on
not.
today. Yes, I am. I'm not wearing a costume. I'm just going to watch them.
So would you ask, if you go to a door,
yes,
and let's say they have chocolate available that is of the quality that Victoria brought an hour ago, even though you're unclothed, well, you're not unclothed, you're uncostumed.
Uncostumed.
Would you say, give me some too?
If they chocolate like this,
yeah,
I might ask if I could try some.
Okay, 877-301-8970. We don't know if you have any rules. Here's the text: there is no rules. It's Halloween, guys. Is anonymous. Lighten up. Just give candy to people and stop being so damn judgy.
Yeah, you know where it's got beautiful Halloween decorations?
No, I don't.
Right here in Commonwealth Avenue in the Back Bay.
It does.
Big, and Marlborough Street, they have some really. Now,
nice.
I don't know about how I feel about the dismembered body parts kind of Halloween. That's a little much for the little kids.
I think there are too many stories
too
about
much blood,
scary. No, there's too many stories about it. Who cares? I mean, don't take the kid to a house with a dismembered thing. I mean, isn't that the easiest solution?
Well, sometimes you're unsuspecting. You don't realize what it is till you get close, and then it's too late.
They should. Well, you know what they should have? Like you say, certain streets.
Yeah.
One street should have normal Halloween stuff. The next street, they can have a sign saying, "This is where all the dismembered." things are.
This is a dismembered street.
This is a dismembered
with lots
street.
of blood.
Okay,
fine. Lori from Lunenburg. What do you think,
Lori-Ann, too, to you.
Lori-Ann. Hi, Lori-Ann.
Hi.
Hi.
So I have two Halloween stories.
Please.
1 year after the time was over for trick-or-treating, some teenagers came to my door with a pillowcase in their sweats, and I gave them the candy to get it out of the house so I wouldn't eat it.
Well, that's a whole...
Yeah, they got quite the load of candy from me because I had a lot left over.
That's very nice of you.
Second story. My second story.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
My second story is that I come from a tall family, and my niece was 6'4" from the time she was 13.
Oh no!
So you can't judge by the height.
How old was she when she was 6'4"?
13.
She's getting anything.
That's tough to be 6'4" at 13. Wow, did she stop growing at 13, I hope, Lori-Ann?
She's 18 now. She's about the same.
Oh.
Wow, that's tall for a girl.
Well, I mean, I don't want to judge, but she shouldn't come to my house or Marjorie's. Lori-Ann, thank you very much for both your stories.
I'll tell her not to.
Thank you.
I'll
That
tell
was
her not to
excellent.
go there.
Excellent story, though. Both stories were fine. 877-301-8970.
And there's the question for how long did you stay out? I mean, you could be there from 4 o'clock in the afternoon until 8 o'clock at night. It's a long
giving
time.
out stuff.
Yeah, what's your strategy? Do you sit outside in the porch in your coat and if it's a little chilly?
Excellent questions.
And wait? Do you have pumpkins? Do you carve the pumpkins? I mean, there's a lot of things involved here in Halloween.
Now, Marjorie, I know you have an issue with retelling stories you've told in the past.
I do.
However, one of my favorites...
We're not doing daylight savings anymore.
Yes, we are. We're doing it Monday.
Okay.
One of my favorite stories that you tell...
It's true.
You live in a two-family house.
Yes.
Now, 1 year you bought, since you just mentioned pumpkins, you bought pumpkins.
I did, for my children.
Why did you buy them?
For my children to carve.
Carve. And what happened? Did your children carve them?
I came home the day before Halloween, and my downstairs neighbors had carved all 4 pumpkins.
I know. Can you imagine the goal?
No, it was very odd. They're not living there anymore.
What'd you say
goodness.
to them?
I don't remember what I said. I just thought it was terrible. My kids were upset. I had to go back and buy more pumpkins. I mean, you don't carve somebody else's pumpkins. Although I have lovely neighbors underneath me now, and they have beautiful carved pumpkins on my porch. So we are ready. We are ready for the big night. Colleen in Framingham, thank you for calling.
Hello, Colleen.
Hi, I'm Colleen in Methuen.
Hi.
Methuen.
Hi, yes.
Close enough. It's all the same. Go ahead.
I think people should hand out the candy and keep their comments to themselves.
Wow.
Because I'm 68 years old.
Yeah.
I'm 6 feet tall. And in the 5th grade, when I was 10, I was probably like 5'8", and somebody said to me, "Aren't you a little tall to be trick-or-treating?"
Oh.
And I was so embarrassed and so, humiliated. It was bad enough to be 5'8" at 10 years old without mean people saying something about it. So.
Oh, now Marjorie and I feel horrible.
Colleen, you have not gotten over it.
Apparently.
Right?
No, I haven't. I'm 68 years old.
We heard that. We heard you were 68. Yeah, that's the rumor. Well, that is one of the saddest stories I ever heard, Colleen.
No, it makes you feel bad being
I think it's
tall.
good you told it, though.
Yeah.
Now, Colleen, thank you for the call. Let me explain something. I think older people who call the show believe that if you're over 60, one of the requirements to call in is to tell us how old you are. Let me just be clear.
Well, I think she was demonstrating that this happened to her more than 50 years ago, and she's still upset about it.
But can I be clear?
Yes.
Unless I missed something, it is not a requirement if you're over 60 to tell us when you were born. Is that correct?
It is not. It is not.
Fine.
It is not.
You have some text you want to read?
Oh, well, anonymous texter says, Halloween teens, yes, it's a chance to look a teen in the eye and say, nice to see you. At least they left the house.
No.
That's very thoughtful. Anonymous texter is wondering where Harriet Heinemann, actually, this is not anonymous. This is from Harriet Heinemann, Jim.
Yeah.
We've been looking for her.
Yeah.
This is Jim's old girlfriend. She's a shot putter.
Yeah.
Wondering which house I have to go to in Cambridge to get free lint balls from my lost love, Jim Browdy.
You know, can I tell you something? She called me Jimbo in that
She's pining
text.
for you.
Can I tell you something? I actually thought, and I meant to consult with you.
That we would find her?
And I did. No. I
can't believe you haven't found her.
I didn't buy candy till this morning. I forgot about it. I bought it early, and it's a long story. But I had to buy one this morning, not because I ate it. I was thinking of doing the lint ball thing across the street, but I thought it might be prohibitively expensive. Now, if you do lint balls, or lint bonbons, as Victoria called them, how many do you think you have to give to every person who comes to your door?
Well, that's the thing. You'd have to probably give them at least 2.
Yeah, that's
But
pretty...
I tell you, the candy, people may have noticed, candy was really expensive this year.
I know that.
I mean, if you just bought the regular, grab bags with the Kit Kats and the Butterfingers and the Reese's and all that, I mean, I think I probably spent at least $100 on candy.
You did not.
Yeah, it's expensive now.
Okay, anonymous texter says, why does Jim, I assume that's me, hate big skeletons? Does he hate fun? If I had to list all the things that Jim hates, well, I'd be dead, the anonymous texter says.
It's true. There's a lot of things. But I think people think that we've gotten carried away. They're expensive. I think they're like $300.
What are they?
The huge skeletons.
Yeah, but you use them year after year, don't you?
We use them, but they're huge. I mean, you have to have a huge place to put them. So you have to have a big enough basement
Buy a skeleton
or big enough
house.
garage.
Yeah, large skeleton house. You put them in there?
Yeah. And I think there's one this year that Home Depot is selling that's even bigger than that.
That's amazing.
And they have some of them have eyes that are all lit up. Yeah.
Does that have any appeal to you at all? Let's be honest. I don't want to be a killjoy on Halloween because it's a wonderful holiday, I guess. What is the joy that someone gets out of it?
People decorate for different holidays. Some people get really into decorating for Christmas, and some people get really. I do.
You put
and some
lights
people get
and
really
everything?
into decorating for Halloween. And people have become really into Halloween. If you drive around the suburbs, I don't know how they feel about it in Cambridge. They probably don't like it, Jim. They probably think it's some anti-witch thing or something. But anyway, a lot of places in the burbs have a lot of decorations. Lisa from Somerville, thank you for calling.
Hey, Lisa.
Hi. Hey, I'm a first-time, long-time, and I'd love to tell you about a thing called car candy that my husband and I invented. Basically, if you have leftover candy after Halloween, you put it under the passenger seat of your car, and you forget about it. Yeah. And then this scenario actually happened. He's grumpy. He calls me. I say, hey, you got some car candy. And he's like, oh, my God, car candy. So it's like it brings the kind of happiness of Halloween forward in time.
That's brilliant.
It's a great concept. Everyone should try it.
I don't mean to be personal, but it sounds like you and your husband are a wild couple. Is that a fair statement?
No, not at all. And actually, I have high A1C, so I shouldn't be eating car candy, only in an emergency. But,
okay, I'm sorry about that.
You truly will forget about the candy, and then when you remember it, it's a gift.
That part has great appeal. Car candy is the invention of Lisa in Somerville and her husband. Lisa, thank you for an excellent call. We appreciate it.
TJ just texted, said, the only advantage short people like me have is free candy in my 40s with the right mask.
So here's Sam from Fairhaven.
Yep.
Oh, no. I just tuned in to listen to your semi-annual segment on daylight saving time and realized that it happened earlier in the show What am I to do? Guess I'll just have to wait until next time we change the clocks in March.
Yes.
Actually, Sam, that is not true. One of our colleagues made a brilliant suggestion. You can rewind the YouTube version of our show and watch it again as if it were new.
I detect a little sarcasm in
so.
Sam's message. I think he will not be rewinding the YouTube to watch. I think he's heard it enough, as certainly I have heard it enough.
Now here's Kelly. Kelly is from Somerville, and she says, I'm 54 and on my way. If I pay for a ticket to come to the library, I think that gives me the right to tell you how old I am. In that instance, it does, Kelly. Thank you very much for texting us. We appreciate it.
Okay, here's a few texts. Kids grow up too fast. I say as long as they are respectful, I'd be happy to give them candy. Multi-generational Halloween is all right with me. So there you go.
It's like Vasquez on YouTube says, 1 lint ball is plenty. Do you think it is plenty?
No.
I'd like it to be. If I knew that it was plenty, I would have bought lint balls.
It's like the little Snickers. I was so shocked to see how tiny the Snickers are this year. They have shrunk, the candies.
Lint ball's pretty big, you know.
It's not. It's like about like
that.
No,
but do you put the whole thing in your mouth at the same time?
No, I don't.
Okay. How many bites do you take?
I would say maybe 8 bites.
No,
I do. I take small bites.
8 bites
makes
of
it
a
last
lint ball?
longer. Makes
so
it last
in your
longer.
case, 1 lint ball would be plenty.
It would take me a long time to eat the lint ball.
That's
Mike from
amazing.
Framingham says older kids, especially the ones without costumes, are also the ones most likely to egg your house into oblivion. So it's worth a few Snickers to avoid that.
That's a very good point.
Yeah, you can have some roughery, some hooliganism.
Roughery?
Roughery.
Yes.
Yeah, that's not a really word.
I know what you mean,
Hooliganism.
though.
As I told you, I was mugged trick-or-treating
No.
when I was a kid. Yes,
What was
I did.
that?
I told
No,
you that before.
please share that with us.
Yes, I was mugged as a little girl.
That's horrible.
Yeah, and my friend Susan was dressed up as Betty Boop, and she had this costume on, like from her head, and the eyes were in the middle of her forehead, and it went down almost to her knees. And
she couldn't get up?
They knocked her over. They stole our candy, and then she was on her back with her little legs like a fly on her back. She couldn't get up again in her Betty Boop costume. I think it's a good idea to travel in groups.
By the way, Betty Boop, for those of a certain age,
stole all our candy.
Was a great cartoon. Betty Boop was all head.
She was all head.
Essentially, little bitty legs and all head, and she was a great character.
My friend Susan's never gotten over it either. She talks about every Halloween.
What?
Her mugging on the corner
really
of Rock
true?
Street and French Street.
In a traumatic way or a warm recollection?
Well, when you're like 10 years old and they steal your candy, you're upset about it, right?
Who was it?
My friend Susan.
No, who stole the candy?
I don't know. Some bad boys came by and
so
they
there
just
was
knocked
roughery
us
in
over.
Fall River? Is that what you're saying?
I was mugged. That's right.
Okay.
Yeah, that's right. And the person was over 6 feet tall. No doubt about it.
Brian, you're in Plymouth. We're talking all things Halloween because it is Halloween. Hi, Brian.
Hi.
Hi.
I got my trick-or-treater pet peeve is when you get a couple of parents show up with an infant who you know is too young to be eating candy.
That's a good one.
And you wonder, what are we doing here?
That's a great one. And what do you do? What do you do?
Well, I just say, my baby never had candy when they were your age. How do you deal with the rotting gums and stuff?
Yeah.
And then they usually just smile. Or I say, who's at your house giving out candy?
It's a good one. Brian, you're ready for every eventuality. Thank you for your call. By the way, we forgot to play this. The guy who nails it, of course.
Oh, Seinfeld.
We'll get to him. The ultimate misanthrope, Larry and David, dealing with some obnoxious teenage trick-or-treaters, of course, from Curb Your Enthusiasm. Here it is.
How old are you?
13.
You look more like 16 or maybe even 17.
No, we're 13. Can we just have our
You're
candy,
13?
please? Can I get some candy?
Where's your costumes?
I'm being my sister.
You're being your
This is
sister.
my teacher.
You're a teacher, yeah.
So can we get
Boy,
some candy,
I'd like to get
Grandpa?
my kid in your
Can we have our
class.
candy? Yeah, candy. Hello.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Are you kidding? It's
No.
Halloween.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it doesn't mean that you're entitled to just go around to people's homes and bilk them out of candy.
Are you kidding?
Yeah.
Got assholes.
That's a good one.
That was a good one, yeah.
That's a good one. I mean, he's with the can't be too big and go for Halloween
Did
trick-or-treating.
you just put a piece of chocolate in your mouth during
I did.
that
I'm sorry.
soundbite?
I'm sorry.
It's rather incredible. Laura and Maynard, you're on with Marjorie Egan, that's her, and me, Jim Browdy. Hi.
Anonymous texter wants to know, Jim, is there anything that you like?
Yes, a lint bonbon. I do. I love a lint bonbon. Actually, the chocolate today was spectacular.
It was spectacular.
I'm sorry, Laura. Take it
I'm
away.
sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt. Sorry,
Hi.
Laura.
Hi.
That's okay. Hi.
Hi.
So can you hear me all right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So I work in film and TV, and I was working with a special effects guy who would do, I wasn't there, but he would come in every Halloween and talk about how he had decorated his house because it was spectacular. It was like full of explosions and crazy stuff because he knew how to do that.
Wow.
So it was in New Jersey, somewhere in New Jersey. I don't know where. And he had a kid, and the kid was really young when I first met him, but gets older. And then one Halloween, he's like, "I'm going to do the best Halloween ever." We're like, "What are you going to do?" He's like, "I'll tell you on Monday." Great. His poor kid, he did this thing. Do you know what squibbing is?
No.
It's like when you want to shoot someone and you put a blood pack in their clothes and then it's wired to a charge.
I just didn't know the term.
It explodes.
Yep.
Oh yeah, it's called squibbing.
Okay.
So he comes in on Monday and he's like, "Yeah, it didn't go very well." And we're like, "What happened, Stevie?" He's like, "Well, I squibbed my kid." We're like, "That's not that big a deal. What happened?" He's like, "Well, we set it up so that I guess the kid ran out from behind a porch or something, and he shot him, and the kid's chest exploded, and he fell backward. But then there were trick-or-treaters, of course, coming up to the front of the house, and they saw this, and they thought it was real.
Oh, God.
And because it looked really real. And the cops came, the whole thing.
Oh, my
He had to
God.
shut his house down. It was like this whole thing. And I don't even think he did it again after that. He was so traumatized. So was the whole rest of the community. They were like, "No way."
That is a sad tale to an otherwise happy beginning. Hey, Laura, thank you for squibbing.
Okay.
Thank you, Laura.
I just got a mesmerizing text, but the
From
story
whom?
goes on too long, and I don't have the denouement of the story.
What do you mean it goes on too long?
We can only, the text messages can't go beyond 6 lines.
Well, that's why Jamie is walking up behind you right now.
Are you going to fix it?
It's incredible.
Okay.
Thank God we're not on live radio because this would be incredible.
Thank you. Okay, thank you, Jamie.
You going to read it?
Okay.
Okay, we'll just wait.
Okay, listen to this one. I grew up in a funeral home in Fall River. That's where I grew up.
That's where you're from. Incredible.
Yes, the last of the trick-or-treaters had left by 8 p.m. At 9:30, 3 tallish 16-year-olds showed up demanding candy. We were out, but they said they would not leave until we gave them candy. My brother, who was about 18, told them to wait a minute, ran into the kitchen. He returned with 3 full candy bags, which he placed into their bags, whispered something to them. They left promptly, and he locked the door. My mother asked him what he gave them.
One second before you finish. I have a doctor's appointment at 2:30, so I'm going to go to that. And then can you just finish up?
Oh.
Go ahead. No, it's a great story. Go ahead. Keep going.
The ending is not that good. Well,
I'm really glad you read it.
He
That's
told her he
great.
filled up plastic bags with cold leftover spaghetti and put it into the candy
what a fabulous
bags.
story. Can you read that again? I missed the beginning.
Well, it started out good. You grew up in a funeral home. You know what I mean?
Wait a second. Can I ask you a question? Aren't the instructions to Jamie and our team to only forward the good texts?
Well, they couldn't read the ending because it was so long. And
So
Jamie
is pretending like, look at him.
Don't you remember?
Jamie is pretending like he had nothing. Oh, it's Aiden's fault. Aiden must have done
Do
it.
you remember
Exactly.
going to the Halloween parties where you have the peeled grapes and you had to put your hands into the
Oh, it's an
bowls
eyeball
of
thing.
It's supposed to be eyeballs. Cold spaghetti could be pretty scary.
Really?
Yeah, but imagine growing up in a funeral home. I know a kid that grew up in a funeral home.
You did?
I did.
Right.
And I always wanted to know if you went down to touch the bodies.
Of course.
I think you would.
What did you think of that story that Marjorie was just reading, that endless story? That was good, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I thought he was going to tell him to
because I listened to the whole thing.
Yeah, it was really
I thought he was going to tell him to give him body parts.
Oh.
Put the body parts in the bag. You know what I mean?
I
But
remember going
somebody's
to a fortune teller who had a crystal ball, and this was when I was about 6 years old. It was in the basement of a church of all places, and she said, "Get closer to my ball," and I got closer to the ball. It was a balloon. She popped the balloon, and this is why I've been afraid of balloons ever since. Yeah,
That's
truly.
That's an
terrible.
equally good story, by the way. That's great.
Did she tell you?
Hey.
It's a really good
Did
story.
she tell you were going to be the host of the culture show when you get older?
Yeah, she did not.
You know what I
instead
did?
she blew up my future.
Speaking of
That's
that,
what she
I
did.
went to a tarot card reader with a friend once, and I went first, and it was fun. They told you all kinds of things. And my friend went, this is in New York when I lived there, and the tarot reader said they saw nothing. I mean, how scary is, you know what that means?
You're going to be dead.
Well, I guess that was the point. The person that happens to still be alive, but their life has been miserable since. Okay, so what do you do on Halloween? There's
That was
no
an equally
way.
great story.
Yeah, I bet
Thank
you
you.
get. I bet you get trick-or-treaters in Charlestown.
Yeah,
I bet
but
you
you
do.
think he's going to sit at his door and give candy out
I don't
to
know.
kids?
Are you going to sit in your door and
Are
give
you
candy out to
kidding
kids?
me?
I will not be home tonight.
Exactly. I mean, really.
No, I mean, I have other things to do.
Yeah.
Of course you
Call
do.
TaskRabbit. See if
Yeah.
they'll come over and hand out the candy for you.
That's a really good idea.
Don't you think?
Why didn't I think of that?
Okay,
Yeah.
good.
My neighborhood is crazy too. I think people hire set decorators.
Oh
It's-
yeah.
it's,
I mean,
it's really fun.
a lot of neighborhoods are really. The best story ever was when Well was running against Bill Well, that used to be the governor, was running against John Kerry to be the senator. It was Halloween, and the news reported that people were bobbing for apples with Weld and his then wife over
Fairweather
the foyer
Street in
of their
Cambridge.
enormous house on Fairweather Street in Cambridge, and the Kerry campaign went nuts. So John and Therese had to rush home from wherever they were because the maid in uniform was giving out the candy.
This is during the Senate race.
This is during the Senate race, and they had to rush home to make sure they were also giving out candy on Lewisburg Square.
Oh, very fancy. Are you going to be home tonight giving candy? Are you going to be home?
I actually am running out of here to go give candy.
Really?
I want to start early. Yep.
Okay.
I'm taking my grandchildren.
Actually, my daughter is doing it. My younger daughter is really into it, so she's going to do it.
Yeah.
Okay, what's on the show then?
We're going to be
live at the library, by the way. Do you know that?
It's live at the library
Okay,
just in a couple of minutes. We're going to be talking about all things Halloween, including Callie Egger and I sharing our favorite Halloween movies.
Oh.
We're going to be talking about ghost stories. We'll talk about the MFA, huge story this week. The MFA, the first museum to repatriate works of art to the descendants of an enslaved person.
Oh, that's right.
We
that's
talk
right.
all about Nazi looted art, how that has gone back. This is the first of this. We'll give you the latest and talk about the latest updates in the Louvre heist. So we have an action-packed show as always.
Action-packed show. We would not doubt it for Halloween. Action-packed. I want to hear about the best Halloween movies. Okay.
See you, Jared.
Jared's going to be on telling
2
us all
minutes
that
and 30
in
seconds
just about a few minutes.
with colleagues.
Thank you for listening to another edition of Boston Public Radio. Thanks to people who came down to the Boston Public Library. We really appreciate it. We've been missing being here. Keep up with us 24/7 by way of our podcast. Check out our TikTok page at Boston Public Radio. Monday, we're going to be joined by Harvard's Juliet Kayam, Carol Rose from the ACLU, Michael Curry from the Massey Community Health Centers and the NAACP, Michael Shapiro of the YMCA of Greater Boston on food support during the shutdown, and the James Beard Award-winning chef and author Alexander Smallis. Our crew, Zoe Matthews, Aidan Conley, Nicole Garcia, Hannah Loss, our engineer, John LaClaw Parker, our executive producer, Jane Bologna, our staff here at the Boston Public Library, Maddie Geyer, Patrick Lally, Bill Francis, Juan Jose Cadena. Thanks to our host of the Newsfeed Cafe and across the street at the Lenox Hotel. Special thanks to our GBH colleagues, Justin Fallone, and our new colleagues here, Derek and Norales. Thank you very much.
Thank you both.
For joining the team here. Stay tuned to the Culture Show's Week in Review, starting immediately after us on 89.7 GBH live right here at the Boston Public Library studio. Have a happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween
Jim.
to you too,
Thank
Marjorie.
you very much. I'm Marjorie Egan.
I'm Jim Browdy. We'll discuss daylight saving time again at 11 o'clock
no, we
on
won't.
Monday.
No, we will not.
Don't worry.
We will not.
Have a great weekend.
Bye.
See you. Bye.
What's trending? What's interesting? What's going on around town? We're talking all things arts and culture on The Culture Show, next on GBH 89.7.
Funding for our programs comes from you.
And Rockland Trust Bank, committed to helping individuals and local businesses work towards their financial goals by providing financial advice and resources. More at rocklandtrust.com. Rockland Trust Bank, where each relationship matters. Member FDIC. It's all smoke and no mirrors. Get to know Texan pitmasters and what it takes to make the renowned Top 50 barbecue list. Don't miss The State of Barbecue, a Texas monthly special. Tonight at 9 on GBH2.
You're listening to 89.7 WGBH HD1 Boston. Online at gbhnews.org. GBH News. What matters to you?
I'm Jared Bowen. This is The Culture Show. Coming up today, the Museum of Fine Arts has returned 2 monumental stoneware vessels to the descendants of David Drake, the enslaved potter who made them. It's the first time a U.S. museum has resolved ownership of works from the slavery era.
This is unique in that we know the artist's name, we know his identity, the descendants are traceable. Many enslaved artists are anonymous.
Then President Trump can't quit his favorite F word.
You're fired. You're fired. You're fired. You're all fired.
He's dismissed all 6 members of the U.S. Commission of Fine Arts, the body that advises presidents on everything from monuments to federal buildings. And yes, that includes the White House's East Wing.
You probably hear the beautiful sound of construction to the back. You hear that sound? Oh, that's music to my ears. I love that sound.
That sound, of course, is to make way for a grand ballroom.
This is going to be probably the finest ballroom ever built.
It might also be the most controversial. A new poll finds Americans largely oppose the demolition of the East Wing.
This is a part of our history, and one individual made those decisions with no input.
But 15% of Americans strongly support it.
We are for it. Who isn't for dancing?
Meanwhile, a breakthrough in the Louvre heist. Multiple suspects are now in custody. Pro tip for aspiring art thieves: clean as you go.
They were tracked down thanks to DNA samples that were found on site. Obviously, they left quite a lot of kit behind them when they made their escape on their scooters, and that's what helped to identify those people.
From there, we officially enter the spooky season. We'll celebrate Halloween from our favorite films, the trending costumes, and hot takes on Halloween candy.
Tootsie Rolls suck. I mean, they're fine. They do the job. They're the Band-Aid of Halloween candy.
And in a move to reshape a media giant, the CEO of Paramount Skydance has announced sweeping layoffs, which will slash approximately 2,000 jobs, a whopping number that doesn't even include the high-profile firing of Stephen Colbert.
It sunk in that they're killing off our show, but they made one mistake. They left me alive.
We take on that and more right now on our Arts and Culture Week in Review.
The Culture Show is made possible in part by a generous contribution from the Fiducia Fund, proud to support this station's arts and culture programming.
Halloween candy is a particular human confection that I'm always down to indulge in because it follows 3 rules of All Hallows goodness: chocolate, crunchies, and goo. Top 3 of all time in ascending order are Almond Joy, Twix, and Snickers. Why? They follow the 3 rules: chocolate, crunch, and goo. You gotta have that goo.
Well, welcome to the Culture Show. I'm Jared Bowen.
I'm Callie Crossley.
And I'm Edgar B. Herwick III.
We'll get to all the candy and my own defense of Tootsie Rolls in just a moment. But first, we are live from the Boston Public Library and streaming on the GBH News YouTube channel. And it's time for our Arts and Culture Week in Review, starting with the Museum of Fine Arts, which has taken a historic and groundbreaking step in confronting America's past. It returned ownership of 2 monumental stoneware vessels to the descendants of David Drake, an enslaved potter from South Carolina who signed and inscribed his work at a time when literacy for the enslaved was literally against the law. The MFA is the first U.S. museum to resolve ownership for art made under slavery. This is so historic, so monumental. People may have remembered the exhibition that featured a lot of the pottery from South Carolina made by people like David Drake and other enslaved people of that time just a few years ago at the Museum of Fine Arts. This also allowed them to connect with his descendants. This brings them to the fore. They have a conversation, and basically what has happened here is the MFA ultimately repatriated, just as we've talked about with Nazi looted art and art that has gone back to Jewish families whose art was confiscated by the Nazis during World War II and the Holocaust. They have gone back to the descendants, gave them back the 2 major stoneware vessels, pottery work that he created, and they have since purchased one back that will go on view at the Museum of Fine Arts next to Paul Revere's Liberty Bowl. So they're making its place known in American history in their new American galleries next year, and the family is retaining ownership of the other one, giving long-term loan to the MFA at the moment. Before we open this up for discussion, let's go to Victoria Reed. I spoke with her earlier this week. She's the MFA's chair for provenance, that is the trail of ownership for objects, and here she is discussing the ownership as they were able to dissect it.
It wasn't as much about me constructing a chain of ownership for these vessels, because we know that their original first owner, who is the artist, did not receive any remuneration for them, had no say about when or to whom or how they left his possession. And that is the first sort of break in the chain of ownership. And so that controls the rest of the ownership history.
And again, makes this an historic first.
Well, I think it's breathtaking, actually. I got to see those jars in the exhibition a couple of years ago, and just, breathtaking. And it touches me so deeply because I think about how many enslaved persons, don't have any connection to their ancestors, known ancestors, and how many were doing this work this kind of work, because there were a lot of crafts and artisans who were enslaved during the time who dare not put their name on anything. I just need to emphasize that to know how to read was a death sentence.
Yeah.
And so what he was doing was essentially saying, you know, I'm going to write it on this pot. I'm going to write my name. And if I get killed, I just get killed. I'm just making my statement. And he had to know nobody was going to destroy the pot. So the pot would be out there even if he weren't. So he was not just tempting fate. He was putting himself in the line of fire. That's how very serious it was. And then the second part of that is that he had sometimes poems, not just his name, which means that he had a broader understanding of how to read and write because he was doing poetry.
Like mostly rhymed couplets.
Yes.
Very clever.
Yeah.
I mean, he is clearly not just a very skilled artisan, but he's a great poet in his own right. I mean, you go back over of the known works. I think there's 20 plus that are out there that they sort of know that are inscribed with these poems. And like I found myself kind of thinking about this. You know, one of these works of art, not the one at the MFA, but there's one at the Atlanta History Center that he made on the 4th of July. And the poem that he writes is, "The 4th of July has surely come to blow the fife and beat the drum." And this is an enslaved man writing that. I mean, you think about the poignancy of that. And as you say, him putting himself in the line of fire by saying, I'm going to make my feelings known. I mean, it's fascinating.
It really is. It really is. And that's in addition to the beauty of the vessels.
Exactly.
Well, yes.
And the contradiction here in that he is creating this beauty while his life was anything but. He was an enslaved man. He lost his leg. They don't know the circumstances, but you can presume that it was the treatment of him by his enslaver. He lost his family. They were taken away from him. One of his poems that we saw in the exhibition references the fact that he is so detached from his family. And again, this is the only reason we know his family, because of the risks you say he took, Callie. Here's John N. Williams Sr. and Daisy Whitner, two of David Drake's descendants, reflecting on their connection to their fourth great-grandfather.
It touched me very deeply, because it looked like I could feel his presence. And tears started coming out my eyes. I couldn't explain it. I had read about slavery. I seen books of slavery, seen movies about slavery, but it didn't touch.
He wanted the world to know that he was a human being. He wanted the world to know that he could learn. He wanted the world to know, look at me. I can do anything anyone else can do.
I'm somebody.
I'm somebody.
So just a coda to this, I'll say that I asked Victoria Reed to what extent this will continue, because again, this is the first case of a U.S. museum finding and repatriating to descendants of enslaved people. She presumes that it will continue, we all do, but it's much more difficult in this case than, for instance, the Nazi looted art, which is complicated because documents disappear, but in this case you have the identities that have disappeared, so it'll be harder to trace descendants of artifacts. Absolutely.
I mean, actually there is a larger effort going on called 10 Million Names, trying to put together the people whose families were lost to them, trying to connect the pieces of folks who were enslaved and their families were sold off, quote, I'm using air quotes now, to many other places. And they've only been able to identify just a certain number now, but the fact that they've done some is amazing, and that work will go on. But this is why it's so difficult. Yes,
and I think this is an important, tiny step in a bunch of leaping that needs to happen. But I think every little thing like this is so deeply important. If you look at his work, this one man's work is in many major museums. And with this stuff, it's like in this world we talk a lot that it's increasingly clear, I think, to the public, to the museums themselves, that the issue of repatriation is like, there's a clear right thing to do. The thing that I think is stopping a lot of the right thing to do is in the details, and the devil's in the details. And what this is it's at least one case where they worked out the details, and that sets a template. So these other large museums, like the Philadelphia Museum of Art, or the Met, that have works by this man, there's now a template for what you do in this case. And then you take this and you take it to the next case, and you say, how is this case like that case? And slowly, over time, figure out a way to do the right thing.
Yes. And I would just make one other comment, which is that we are in a time when people are trying to erase this history.
Yes.
And so this is very important on that front as well.
Very poignant. Well, from repatriation, that is, to restitution, another story of art and accountability is unfolding overseas. There's been a break in the Louvre crown jewels heist, the daylight robbery that stunned Paris and the world earlier this month. French police have arrested more suspects connected to the theft, while some have reportedly admitted to partial involvement. The jewels themselves remain missing. So I was a little bit surprised that it took as long as it did. I've been off the last couple of weeks, so I wasn't able to join you both in conversation, but with the amount of security that exists in terms of surveillance and cameras, and I know we all know how much didn't exist in this case, but there is so much out in the world, and knowing how methodically they're working it, I was kind of surprised that it took this long, but I think that this will be cracked in a big way. What I still am wondering about is whether the jewels will actually come back, because what we're learning now is that most likely this was commissioned, and I think now that in this most recent sting that netted 5 people turning up, and this is through DNA evidence, so you know they're probably going to track more if there are more people, that because you now have 7 people in custody, they're going to definitely turn on each other. You don't.
I was going to say, we've seen this movie. We sort of know the beats in the plot here. Yeah.
But I think where the plot thickens now is where are the jewels? Have they already been spirited out of the country? But certainly the entire world is still paying attention to this.
Well, I know, as Edgar, you all have talked about before when I wasn't on the show, I mean, this just looks like Ocean's 8 to me. I think they've dismembered those jewels, and you will never see them in the shape that they were before. Yeah. I think that's now trying to sell them is a whole other thing, but at least you can do it more easily, I would assume, if they're individual pieces as opposed to the pieces that they were in the museum.
Well, and there's some speculation, so like one of the pieces of evidence that have helped them get along this far, that there was some DNA on, is one of the pieces which they left on this, as they were fleeing the scene, there was one piece that was left, and it seems like some of the speculation from some folks is that was left because it was clear that one was going to be harder to disassemble and recut the jewels, and so that would clearly be a hot item and therefore more difficult to sell. But a lot of people seem to think, like in this case, certainly they're not going to get the amount that it's theoretically worth, but by breaking it into component pieces, melting down some of the metal, recutting some of the stones, it seems like there's a market and should be sellable for them. Well, maybe some of that's happened already. Who knows?
We had Elaine Cholino on the show yesterday. She's a former New York Times Paris bureau chief and has written a whole book about the Louvre. And she was so fascinating. She pointed out that it was a really skilled entrance into the museum, a much less skilled exit. But they also knew something pretty significant, which is that these cases have to be constructed in such a way that the fire department can easily access the jewels if there were to be some sort of emergency. So they can easily break the glass, but it also has to be strong enough to deter thieves. So they knew exactly what to bring in order to do this. So that's what gives me less hope about the jewels, because they probably assuredly had that mapped out too, how they were going to cut them down. But this is also turned into a question of when do you employ humor? Because there are a few ads that popped up, and if you're streaming on our GBH News YouTube channel, you'll see this one. This is from a German company which actually manufactured that lift that allowed them to get into the Louvre Museum, and it basically translates to, the next time you need things to move quickly, this will transport your treasures weighing up to 400 kilograms at 42 meters per minute. Whisper quiet. And then if we flash forward, we'll see an IKEA ad too that won't protect your crown jewels either, the little glass vitrine case. So some people are saying, yes, hilarious, this is what the Louvre gets, and other people are saying, too soon.
I think it's hilarious. I have to say the bucket one just really got me. Here's the other thing about the bucket one. The thieves, they've been portrayed as not as smart as maybe some other well-known jewelry thieves, but they had enough sense to go ask for a demonstration of this bucket at the company, and then they stole the bucket. Yes. That was the week before the jewelry heist. They went to the company and said, we'd like to see a demonstration of the bucket. How does it work? And they showed it to them, and then they stole the bucket.
They stole the bucket. Yeah, they lured they lured it as if they needed, there was a job.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Potentially, so come and we'll check you for the job, and then they stole the bucket truck. I would just say, in terms of the humor here, it is 2025. There is no such thing as too soon anymore. It's the metabolism of the media and the internet age. It's like it is free reign for jokes. We're gonna talk about Halloween in a bit, right?
Yes.
Like this is a popular Halloween costume. So speaking of too soon, people are going as the crown jewels or going as the robbers.
I think if somebody had been physically hurt, maybe not, but since
it does
nobody
give
was.
it does give you license
Yes.
because it's it's not a victimless crime, but
No.
in some ways you could nobody was hurt. To your point.
Yes.
Well, also Elaine Cholino yesterday was explaining that France has a not great history with its crown jewels. There were times where they lost them before. There were times where the country sold them off because they were trying to move away from the monarchy and put that past aside. So in the last number of years, they've actually been trying to recollect all of the jewels. So I think maybe you can feel a little bit okay for laughing. But here's Alexander, I think it's Bacher, the company's managing director, the company of the Lift, that is, talking to a German news agency about making the most out of their publicity.
My wife and I got to know about the Louvre robbery, and then of course after we knew no people were injured and our Wöcker Agile was used, we were thinking about a little bit making, with a sense of humor, fun about it on Instagram or Facebook. Luckily for us, most of the people got the humor and know that we are not involved in the robbery, and we were very pleased with the reaction so far.
Wouldn't that be a twist?
If they were actually involved in the robbery, that would be
fun.
amazing.
Well, they stole their own
Kudos to
bucket
them.
and then
Yeah,
just to set that up.
exactly.
I gotta just comment. This is a commenter about their ad. He said, "Excellent. That is German quality. Your messaging takes the crown."
Nice.
So how soon do we think there really is a Hollywood movie about this? Does
Oh,
it
it's
come out
happening
in,
now.
like,
It's gotta
it's
be
gotta be
happening
in
now.
production already.
Yes.
Right?
Well, I wonder whether, in this country, I'm not sure you can sell the rights when you're convicted of a crime. I don't know what the laws are in France, so maybe they're trying to negotiate both turning in their friends, the thieves, I mean,
That's right.
and their movie rights or Netflix series rights.
7 people in custody, and law enforcement believes that 3 of the 4 people who actually executed the crime are of the 7
I nominate
in custody.
Ben
So there's
Stiller
still,
as director.
Ooh, okay.
Because he did that, runaway thing from the prison.
That's right.
Yeah.
Oh, right, the series with Patricia Arquette.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, now to Washington. This week, President Trump fired all 6 serving members of the U.S. Commission of Fine Arts, the federal body that reviews and advises the president on the design of national monuments, memorials, and federal buildings. The purge clears the way for a new slate of appointees more aligned with his vision on everything from a new ballroom to the president's proposed arch. So this was very, very much by design. This commission is always appointed by presidents. They serve 4-year terms. The last commission was appointed by President Biden. They were to serve until 2028. The White House was very transparent about this. They said they wanted to install a commission that would be completely in line with the president's views. So this very much calls into question everything that has happened at the White House thus far, and we saw the complete destruction of the East Wing. We know at least what the president has been holding up in terms of his plans for a grand ballroom, but the question is now, who will sign off on this? Who will be the gatekeepers on design and historical integrity as this moves forward?
Well, I think we have a good indication that they're likely to be rubber stampers and not gatekeepers. I think we should be clear about saying this is the president's purview, whoever the president is.
Sure.
So Biden put the people in that he wanted. The difference here, and the reason we're raising it, is that Biden picked people who are knowledgeable in their fields about this, and then he did not say to them, but you better do what I want. They were to use their expertise in making decisions about the architecture and the design in Washington, D.C. President Trump has been very clear, this is the kind of stuff I like, and I don't want anything else, and I want this arch, period. And you're just to execute.
Yeah.
I mean, so that's the difference, so people understand. No one's saying he doesn't have the right to replace the commissioners, but it would have been, commiserate with the past if he had picked people who are knowledgeable in their field and let them do what they do.
Well, so let's look at it, right? The makeup of the 6 members were 2 architects, a landscape architect, and 3 urban planners. This makes sense. They're an advisory committee. They were created by Congress way back in the early 1900s for what seems like a pretty good reason, right? It's a growing city. You want to have somebody who's got some expertise who's there to advise the president. I mean, this is nothing new, but it sort of feels like every week it's not a bad idea to remind ourselves that the President of the United States is a steward. They are not a business owner, right? And sometimes, it's fine. I think at times in our history we've said we need somebody who acts a little bit more like a business owner. But they are inhabiting the office for a period of time to be a steward, and things like having the reason why we have, and I get it, bureaucracy is bureaucracy, right? And you can say bureaucracy sometimes isn't great, or it gets in the way, or it slows things down. That's a cogent argument, that's fine. But the idea is this, the president is not an expert in all fields, and so we have these various advisory committees who are there to turn to say, like, you are a group of people who are expert in this thing. Help me make the best decision for the American public and American people.
Well, this is exactly where I stand. This is not his house. This
Right.
is the people's house. And I am somebody who is on board with the ballroom. Because when I learned that so many of these state dinners were happening on a tent on the lawn, I thought, well, this makes sense that we would have a building for this. I understand that. However, go through the proper channels. This is our capital. All Americans pay for and have a vested interest in this capital. The White House is the people's house. This needs to be presented in such a way that it is a democratic process so that we can move this forward. I think maybe he wasn't really thinking this through because, yes, you can pave over the Rose Garden and you can make other changes, but this construction project, which has already ballooned from $200 million to $300 million, not that we're told we're paying for it because all of the great supporters of the president are paying for it, but this is not a project that's going to be over very quickly. So in a moment where we're seeing inflation, we're in a moment where we're seeing federal employees not being paid as of today, in a moment where we're seeing food benefits go away as people watch the construction of this very grand ballroom happen, which is not going to happen in short order, but it's going to be a prolonged process. We know how long construction takes, even when it's the president ordering it. This is going to continue to dog him. But again, that's not the main issue. The main issue is that this is our house, our property.
And I think it's more than going through the proper process. That was 120 years of history. So whether you were on board for the ballroom or not, what was going to happen is that what should have happened is the construction of the ballroom should have been in line. It was going to be adjacent. Yes, or in line with preserving the 120-year-old history of the East Wing. And then, and what's so odd is, so often we've seen through this administration, if it had just been one step, one asking, you could actually get buy-in across the board. Right. And I don't understand who the people are who are advising him, because it's not just him.
Do you really feel like you don't understand? Or I feel like I generally do understand, which is that in the way that a lot of things are being done by this administration seem to be to show that I have power, and I can do it, and I can do it alone. It seems like, I think that is baked into the way a lot of this stuff is being done. So to me, it feels like I do understand. I disagree with the way it's being done. But again, as we've said on the show, I'm with Jared. I wasn't against a ballroom. It seemed like a good idea, but then it's the way it's being done.
Yeah, but also cities evolve, buildings evolve. We've seen how the White House has evolved, and I think it was Truman who put a second balcony on, and that was very controversial. But at the same time, he was also making sure he was having swatches approved for the East Wing. So yes, the building will change, the city will change as we move forward to talk about the Independence Arch that he's going to be creating that takes it from France, actually.
Yes.
Hopefully there'll be no heisting of the Arc de Triomphe and moving that to Washington, but this is why we need to be having these conversations, because we also know it won't end just with this construction project. Well, coming up, get your candy stash ready for some arts and culture trick-or-treating. From costumes to classic scares, we're diving into all things Halloween. That's next on The Culture Show. Stay with us.
The Culture Show is made possible in part by a generous contribution from the Fiducia Fund, proud to support this station's arts and culture programming.
Florence Welch has played through broken bones while bleeding, pouring everything into her performance. She says something almost inhuman takes over that makes her keep on going.
I feel like the stage, I'm allowed to let this beast of energy out.
I'm Elsa Chang, the Florence and the Machine frontwoman on her next album, Everybody Scream, on the next All Things Considered from NPR News.
Today at 4, here on GBH News 89.7.
Funding for our programs comes from you.
And the Boston Philharmonic Youth Orchestra, featuring Guy Bronstein and cellist Zvi Plesser, performing November 7th at Symphony Hall. Tickets at bostonphil.org.
And the Boston Children's Museum. Visitors can celebrate Halloween from October 15th to November 2nd with fantastic activities for all ages in the Pumpkin Patch of Play experience. Learn more at bostonchildrensmuseum.org/Halloween.
And the University of Massachusetts Amherst. UMass, the state's flagship public research university, empowers students to be the future in the pursuit of progress for Massachusetts and beyond. More at umass.edu.
I'm Callie Crossley. All too often, a lot of very important news flies under the radar. Learn about the small stories before they become big headlines on my podcast, Under the Radar with Callie Crossley, available wherever you get your podcasts.
Take it, Callie.
I'm Jared Bowen. This is a Culture Show live from the Boston Public Library and streaming on the GBH News YouTube channel. If you're just tuning in, it's our Arts and Culture Week in Review. I'm joined by co-hosts Callie Crossley and Edgar B. Horwick III. Of course, we started off with Thriller because it is Halloween and we're dusting off our broomsticks, but not the cobwebs, because we're talking all things Halloween, from the hottest costumes of 2025 to the great candy controversies to our favorite Halloween films, which is where we'll start. We love to talk about our favorite films, mainly in my case, it's because I love to play clips from my favorite film.
Nice.
But I'll go last. Callie, you go first.
It's The Great Pumpkin, Charlie
Yes.
Brown. As you all know, I am not the scary person at all. I go the opposite direction. Yeah. So I'm not monitoring, slashing, zombieing, none of that. And I just love this simple little movie, animated, 25 minutes only.
Yeah.
And I re-looked at it in preparation for this conversation, and you forget stuff. There isn't a moment of dialogue for about 3 minutes.
Yeah.
And it's after they finally get, Lucy is in the pumpkin patch with Charlie Brown, and they pick one, and they bring it back to the house, and she puts a knife in it to carve it, and he screams, "I didn't know you were going to kill it." Yeah. I mean, that's my level of fright.
That's it.
That's it. So it's so nostalgic and wonderful, and some people have suggested that because when it first arrived, 1966, it was only shown on television once a year, and so there's a lot of folks who just have it baked in as a personal favorite, and then it just took on a sort of American treasureness about it. Yeah. But I just love the sweet story about it. There's some good lines all through it that are funny as well.
Should we hear some of it?
Yes, let's hear some of it.
Here's Linus explaining the legend of the Great Pumpkin to Sally, and it's The Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown.
The Great Pumpkin knows which kids have been good and which kids have been bad. You'll be sorry. Oh, good grief. He'll come here because I have the most sincere pumpkin patch and he respects sincerity. Do you really think he'll come? Tonight, the Great Pumpkin rises out of the pumpkin patch. He flies through the air and brings toys to all the children of the world. That's a good story. You don't believe the story of the Great Pumpkin? I thought little girls always believed everything that was told to them. I thought little girls were innocent and trusting. Welcome to the 20th century.
Wow, it holds up.
Isn't it a great?
Yeah.
It's really great. And we have to shout out, of course, Vince Guaraldi's fabulous musical score.
In all of those Charlie
I
Brown
know.
specials.
I
So
just
good.
love them.
So, Edgar, what's your favorite film?
All right, so I start by saying I reject the notion of the favorite film. You cannot have a single favorite Halloween film. So because there's so many great. I mean, you've got an entire genre of horror films which could be categorized as Halloween time. So there are too many good movies. So what I went with is, and I watch a lot of Halloween movies in the lead up to Halloween, as many as I can most years. So I went with what I found to be the one that I've so far have most enjoyed rewatching, and that is Poltergeist.
Oh, God, no.
Have you seen Poltergeist?
No, I would not see Poltergeist.
You've never seen it?
I would be awake for the next 9 months.
No.
Go on with your...
It's not that
I'm not
scary.
yucking your yum. Just go ahead.
I was trying to figure out, so I think...
Yucking your yum? I've never heard that.
You haven't? Oh, yeah.
What does it mean?
It means I'm not messing with what you like.
Yucking my yum. Okay, I get it. No, I mean Poltergeist, a classic 1980s movie. I think it's Steven Spielberg in he didn't direct it, but he was heavily involved in it, and it, you kind of put it alongside sort of E.T. and Close Encounters of the Third Kind and Jaws in this sort of series of films that he's making, where I think he's doing something really interesting in that these, to varying degrees, fantastical events are happening, but they're against the backdrop of like the normal American suburb. And the fact that he, in all of these films, including Poltergeist, and one of the things I love about it, he spends so much time sort of establishing a very realistic American family of the era, that when the thing happens, and in this case it's the TV people coming to get the little girl, it has this sort of heightened impact because you've spent so much time connecting with these regular people, and then this crazy thing happens.
Well, Callie, block your ears, because we have a little bit from Poltergeist. This is when a medium explains to the Freeling family why their daughter, Carol Ann, was abducted by the poltergeists.
They're attracted to the one thing about her that's different from themselves. Her life force. It is very strong. It gives off its own illumination. It is a light that implies life and memory of love and home and earthly pleasures. Something they desperately desire but can't have anymore.
Does that hold up?
Well, there's a few things I'll also note about this, and why I think it's really interesting now, sort of rewatching it, and why it was striking me this year. One, it's right on this cusp of, there's a lot of practical effects in it, but there's also special effects that are like very forward-looking at the time. So it's a really neat hybrid of kind of where special effects are going in film, all the way up to what is CGI today, but there's some of that and there's some practical effects, and it's a really neat mix just to see. I think it's a neat time period. I also can really imagine Steven Spielberg did the story here, and that idea at when he was a kid, where everybody was watching so much TV, and you could imagine parents being like, that TV's going to rot your brain, that TV's bad for you, et cetera, et cetera. You can see him spinning that out into this horror thing that I think is based around a television set being the dangerous thing. I think that's really impactful.
Right.
I think it's really neat.
Well, I'm going to reject your notion.
Okay.
And I'm going to yum your yum.
Okay.
Because I also do not like scary movies.
Oh,
and so
come on, you two.
that's not going to be my favorite, but I do have a favorite Halloween movie, and it is, and bear with me here, because I was onto this before anybody else was onto this. I swear, I can tell you who to call. My friend Catherine and I, once we saw Hocus Pocus in 1993, we loved this film. And because it was such a box office bomb, it moved to the discount theater immediately, where we saw it like 900 more times because we only had to pay $2 each time. And we were kids, so even $2 is a lot of money. I think it was maybe a little bit more than $2. I loved this movie because it was Bette Midler and it was Sarah Jessica Parker, whom I had loved from Flight of the Navigator. This is well before Sex and the City.
Yes.
Didn't know Kathy Najimy, but this was such a fun film. And a very young Jared recognized the value of camp, apparently, because I loved that. It was just put together well. And then you have the great musical number. Let's hear a little bit of Winifred Sanderson, who is singing I Put a Spell on You.
Ooh.
I'm the worst. We finally got Jared to sing along to the show. Happy Halloween, everyone.
We play that at your peril, because if you're hearing that music, you'll be put under this spell and you'll be dancing until dawn. So be careful, everyone who just listened to that. We forgot to take our headphones off. No, I just think that this movie is so much fun, and it's great to see the resurgence it had, which it didn't have for a very long time. It came out, and they released it during the summer. This is how I was able to go with my friend Catherine and see this over and over and over again, because it came out in July why. They didn't even release it, Disney didn't, in Halloween. But then somehow, like we just talked about Clue the other day, and that's a cult favorite. I think when this hit VHS and DVD especially, and they started playing it around Halloween time, then it just took off. And now everybody thinks it's the iconic Halloween movie and that it's been there forever, when really it wasn't. So Catherine and I, we started it all.
But it is a reminder of how a lot of...
Aren't they remaking it? Aren't they redoing another?
Well, last year they did Hocus Pocus 2.
Sequel. But it's a reminder that some of these things that we think of as if the tradition had always been there take some time to establish themselves. You know, like things like Wizard of Oz is like that.
Yes.
At first it was... it was panned, but over time it establishes itself.
Well, we're going to irritate the producers here because we were supposed to spend only a couple minutes talking about movies because we had so many other things to talk about. So let's take a couple minutes. We'll take a moment to talk about the Halloween costumes and candy. The Halloween costumes this year are hilarious, and Callie, I think you're responsible for one of them.
Oh, La Boo Boo.
Yeah. Talk about getting there before everybody else.
I know. Yeah. So that's fascinating to me. There's also a lot of people doing the Pit. Costumes based on the Pit and on what's that other series that everybody likes?
Well, there's K-pop Demon Hunters.
Right,
that's the big one. That's been huge. And Wicked, Wicked is also a very popular.
Well,
costume,
Wicked you would expect,
yes,
but because you already got a witch built in and whatever. But K-pop Demon Hunters, they just came from nowhere and they're just cleaning up.
Well, and you will pay so much money to try to get a Halloween costume if you haven't for the rest of today because they put the order in. Netflix did basically to get these costumes, but they didn't think demand was going to be so high, so they didn't order a lot of costumes. That's why they were so hard to get. I think the favorite one that I've seen is Uncle Billy or formerly known as Baby Billy from The Righteous Gemstones.
Oh,
nice. Uncle Billy and his wife. And a lot of people are dressing as Pope Leo, too, which is a pretty simple costume.
Yes.
He's got a white robe and a red sock. Oh, my goodness.
Wow.
I'm going to have the wrath of the Pope on me.
White socks.
White socks cap.
Yes. Or a Villanova cap.
Yeah, that's true.
Let's not forget, he's Villanova alum, like some other people here.
Before we leave this, we just have to talk about the candy, too, because we do have Confectioner's Row right here in Massachusetts, where so much of the candy that is produced and distributed on Halloween started right here. And I didn't realize the extent to which Tootsie Roll was based here, and I also didn't realize how secretive the Tootsie Roll company is. It's hard to get interviews. It's hard to get them to open up. We don't know anything. It's like Willy Wonka's factory.
It's like Willy Wonka right here in our own backyard.
And, of course, Necco Wafers was my favorite. I just want to shout out Spindler's Confections and Savory Delights. It's still in Cambridge. They have a tiny little museum of some of the artifacts from Confectioner's Row back in the day, and they make fabulous chocolates and other candies.
On the Necco thing, I mean, one thing that I think is good, when Necco went belly up, a lot of the brands got sold off, so you still can get Necco wafers and Smarties and a bunch of the things that they were making. But I did a story a year after they had closed where I went to their location in Revere where they had been, and they were just about finished selling everything off there, 850,000 square feet. It was incredible, what that was. And to be walking around that facility, it was totally empty, just about. It still smelled like candy. It's wild that existed. And, this was the candy capital of America for a long time. So it's great that there is still some holding on. But Necco was such a huge operation. It was a huge loss.
Yes, it was.
Well, one of the other big candy stories this year, and this has been growing, is read your labels, because a lot of candy that you would think has chocolate no longer has chocolate. Right. They're using other fats. Yes. Exactly. Cocoa beans and butter has become so expensive that a lot of companies like Almond Joys, I think, and... I made a list here, which I can't find. Oh, Mr. Goodbar, Rolos, they've all moved away from using actual chocolate, so you won't see it on the label. So they're finding other things, which is interesting.
It's very expensive right now, so that's the other part of it. It's very...
Do you have a favorite?
I like Heath Bar.
Oh, now we're going to ask favorites?
Well,
yes.
I reject your notion.
Well, that's fair. That's totally fair. That is a fair answer.
Skittles are my favorite.
I like Heath Bar.
Heath Bar.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I know. The full-size one, please. I used to wrong with Reese's and peanut M&Ms.
Peanut and chocolate together is pretty unbeatable.
Yeah. But I like Sour Patch, too. I like the Sour Patch Kids.
I'm a big gummy person, gummy candy person.
Yes, gummy worms. I love gummy worms.
Oh, gummy worms are good.
Yeah, gummy worms are delicious.
Yes. Well, that was fun. All right, coming up, Time is Money, and Francis Ford Coppola is proving it. The director is auctioning off his prized watches to dig out of a financial hole created by his self-funded flop, Megalopolis. That and more is next on The Culture Show. Stay with us.
Mali, daily life has been radically disrupted. A coalition of Al-Qaeda and Islamic State extremists have cut off the country's supply of fuel. It's part of a larger campaign to overthrow the government.
La situation est devenue de plus en plus catastrophique.
The situation is catastrophic. Hear that story next time on The World.
This afternoon at 3, here on GBH News 89.7.
Our programs are made possible thanks to you.
And Boston Ballet, presenting George showcasing 3 distinct styles of neoclassical ballet in one brilliant program. Opening November 6th at Citizens Opera House. Tickets at bostonballet.org.
And Paquin Entertainment Group, presenting Moonwalkers, a 360-degree immersive experience narrated by Tom Hanks, featuring NASA footage, astronaut interviews, and more. Now open. Tickets at moonwalkersboston.com.
And Newport Mansions, presenting the Newport Symposium, The French Influence, in Newport, November 6th and 7th. 2 days of lectures and tours examining the French aristocracy's influence on the Gilded Age. NewportMansions.org.
Less noise, more news. GBH News 89.7, gbhnews.org, and streaming on the GBH app. Trusted local news.
I'm Jared Bowen. This is The Culture Show, live from the Boston Public Library and streaming on the GBH News YouTube channel. If you're just tuning in, it's our Arts and Culture Week in Review. I'm joined by co-hosts Callie Crossley and Edgar B. Herwick III. We're going over the latest headlines, including major moves at media giant Paramount Skydance, where CEO David Ellison has launched the first wave of job cuts. Some 2,000 people will be let go, roughly 10% of the workforce, as part of a plan to trim $2 billion in costs, a sweeping move following the merger of Paramount Global and Skydance Media. This will go across all of the Paramount Skydance properties. This is Comedy Central, MTV, Nickelodeon, BET, also the news division, which is what we were paying attention to this week because they're among the first major announcements because there are some very big personalities to be let go. Michelle Miller and Dana Jacobson, as well as the EP of the Saturday morning edition of CBS News. They've been let go. John Dickerson a few days ago, he wasn't cut, but he announced he's leaving. He's been the co-anchor of the CBS Evening News. And then locally, a big loss, at least in my estimation, John Keller, longtime political reporter at WBZ, of course a CBS station. He was let go this week.
Yeah, I didn't realize that the Paramount cuts were going to reach into local affiliates, and so John Keller is very well known around here. People will recognize him from doing a lot of the election debates, and then of course his work doing politics on WBZ for years and years and years. So that's a big one. We don't know of others from the station as well.
I think there were 4 other layoffs locally, so he was one of 5 at the local at WBZ TV who have been laid off. So, I mean, it's happening, right? I mean, this is the fallout of this. You know, when a merger happens, you know, obviously the idea is that you're finding some sort of cost savings in the merger. That's how it's sold. And then you have the layoffs. The thing here is, this is obviously not just a simple merger. There also seems to be a new direction for CBS News in particular in this merger. And I think that's the part where, as people are being let go, whatever new people are coming in, I think, I mean, I don't have a crystal ball, but that's the thing I think we'll all be watching is, how does this, what is the editorial vision moving forward? Because I think we all suspect it's going to look a little different.
Well, I wonder what kind of emphasis there will be on news. When you look at the Paramount spending, so we've just talked about their cuts, but they're spending on the UFC fights. They're spending on South Park. We know about the $1 billion deal to keep those creators there. I didn't realize this. They had lured the creators of Stranger Things over from Netflix so that they can support that and they can have whatever the Duffers now create. And Taylor Sheridan has just exited to NBC Universal, so they'll have to make up for that loss because he created this whole Taylor Sheridan universe, namely with Yellowstone and its subsequent spin-offs. So right now they're putting a lot of effort on entertainment and very particular entertainment, also while keeping an eye on Warner Brothers, which seems to be the next target by Ellison and Paramount.
They've already made a bit.
Yeah.
So Warner Brothers Discovery, which is the parent company
Yes.
of, among other things, CNN, HBO, and Warner Brothers Film Studio, they're up for sale. Paramount chairman David Ellison they've made a bid. That's been rejected, but there's more coming. They seem to be really targeting this as yet another purchase. So that is a real contraction in ownership in the media landscape.
So I just was taken with Ellison's comment that it's about redundancies, which makes you a little suspicious because he goes on to say, not aligned with our evolving priorities. So it's not a redundancy per se. That would be, you're just not aligned with our priorities, so you're out. It didn't have anything to do with you are one of 2 or 3 people doing the same job.
Well, and it's worth mentioning, as you say, aligned with priorities, the battles that CBS was having with the Trump administration, because that was the reporting and the journalism was not aligned with the Trump priorities.
That's
and this
correct.
is how we found these settlements in 60 Minutes. The stalwart of journalism in this country, especially for broadcast journalism, becomes a target and seems to be weakened to some degree. They haven't completely watered down their reporting. I watch a lot of CBS. I haven't necessarily seen that, but you can feel the pressure they're likely under. And there should always be pressure. We want fair and balanced reporting, but there is new ownership who doesn't necessarily see the Murrow network it once was.
And the new high executive, Barry Weiss, I think Barry Weiss, is not a journalist. Let's start there.
Well,
certainly,
certainly a non-traditional choice.
Yes.
I mean, the other thing, as you point out, Jared, is as we all know, the news business, even when as efficient as possible, even when popular, is not the kind of moneymaker that other media properties are. And so, again, when you're talking about a company that's getting bigger, that's also buying movie studios, et cetera, you do wonder about how much the news remains a priority when even done well, it's not going to make as much money as other things might.
And I should point out that Variety floated a piece that Gayle King's contract is up in May, and they assume that because they're overhauling the CBS stripped morning show across the week, in addition to the Saturday one, as has been announced, that something may be happening with her because they plan to overhaul that as well.
Well, while voters head to the polls this election season, Netflix wants to boost turnout of its own. The streaming giant is launching a new real-time voting feature allowing viewers to weigh in during live shows, deciding outcomes as they happen. It's part of Netflix's latest push into interactive entertainment. So it's interesting to see, yet again, the streamers following broadcast. We've seen the streamers follow broadcast into advertising that we all are subject to now. And they're following the trend of Survivor and Dancing with the Stars and all of the shows, American Idol, that invite phone participation. This is interesting, the technology, because you might be able to do it with your television set to vote as things are unfolding live on television. I don't even know what we call it. Do we call it? We still call it television.
On screen. On your screen.
On your screen. That's right. So it's interesting because you'll have a limited time to vote, and you may not be able to vote depending on the delay in viewing the live show. So winners will clearly be people who have pals who have fast fingers, for one thing, and who can respond. I mean, it's great for them in terms of keeping people in their seats, but it's completely opposite. As you know, this is my hobby horse. The whole point of a streaming situation where, at least with the scripted shows, you should be able to find it later and I should be able to enjoy it later. It means that if I watch one of these shows later, I don't get to vote.
Yes, that is correct, which is them wanting you to watch it. I think this is a giant nothing burger of a story. I really do.
I think they have a chance to boost up their audience.
I hear that. I think to Jared's point, I think this is something that broadcast has basically kicked the tires on for a long time and found I think there are very narrow places where this kind of thing works. Something like an American Idol style show is where this works, and it's something that already happens in broadcast. I think for the most part, I think there there are very few shows where people really do want to interact and engage in this way. And when they do, okay, it's cool that they'll be able to on Netflix, in a way that they've been able to do on broadcast. But I think 90% of the, I'm making up the number, but I think the vast majority of the time, when people go to something like a Netflix for the scripted series, etc., what they want to do is tune in, relax, and have the thing take them away to some other world. They don't necessarily want to engage, and they don't necessarily want to engage in real time. So I think this will probably work for a very few number of shows, and so what?
That'll be interesting.
Yeah, I don't know how much people want to vote. I think across any sector as we see in this country. Well, as we wind up this conversation, we turn to one of Hollywood's great directors who's winding down, at least when it comes to his watch collection. Francis Ford Coppola is selling off a number of his prized luxury timepieces worth more than $1 million. It comes after the box office disappointment, that's an understatement, of his epic Megalopolis, a film he financed himself. That was a film that cost $120 million. We saw the reviews.
Box office gross was?
It was $14.4 billion.
That hurts.
Yikes. So Max from the show, Max and I went to, and I think we talked about this here too, when Francis Ford Coppola spoke at the Coolidge Corner Theater after a screening of Megalopolis earlier this year, and he was very transparent. He did everything but just show us his checkbook because he was talking about how he sold his wineries, how he had this multi-million dollar bill that was due at the bank, and he wasn't sure how he was going to pay for it. So now he's auctioning off these watches. So again, a $120 million film that grows $14 million, and he's selling off watches that will just barely put a dent in this.
So they sold a prototype for $3 million, and that prototype took 8 years to make. This is very different. He had a lot of input into it. It is so ugly to me. If you're, looking at our stream, you can see that it's a big hand in the middle. And I guess the hand does something to indicate the time.
Yeah, it sort of like splays its fingers out in different ways to indicate the time.
Well, as somebody pointed out, if you look at Coppola's films, of course he's going to develop a watch that tries to reinvent the entire way we tell time.
Yeah, exactly. He's like, I have a different idea of how we could do this.
Of course. So good luck to him. I guess he'll sell it. And, for most people who would buy that, it's really not about the watch. It's really about the fact that it's an artifact that
and it was
belongs to
Francis
him.
Ford Coppola.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I think Francis Ford Coppola is an absolute hero right now. I really do. So let's look at this. First of all, he's going to be fine. He lost a lot of money on this movie, but he was already worth a lot of money. He still has an equity stake in the wine thing. He's got 2 adult kids, both of whom are in Hollywood and doing fine too. So what are you going to do with your money? I love I think he is showing us the way to sort of gracefully come to the last stage of your life when you are a multimillionaire. He's made a crazy movie.
He's begging. That's not graceful.
He's not really begging. He's sort of getting rid of some assets. He's going to live a comfortable rest of his life. He's 86 years old. He took a giant swing at the end and made a crazy movie that he's always wanted to make. What's he going to do with the money?
When we were at the screening, he did not pass a hat. I mean, he talked about it, but he didn't pass a hat.
He's also got more watches. He's fine.
Yeah,
he'll
be fine. And as he pointed out, he lost a lot of money for Apocalypse Now and came back. But at 86, comebacks are limited. But that's enough of that because the storm clouds are gathering.
Okay.
The storm clouds are gathering.
Slowly.
That means it's time for a lightning rally. Callie, it's the story that struck you this week?
The Dictionary.com has named the word of the year of the viral TikTok trend 6'7".
Oh, no.
6'7".
Oh, no.
It's huge. It's been huge for almost a year. It got kicked up 5 notches when the kids went back to school, and it's all over everywhere. So if anybody says 6'7", it blows up, and the kids do the gesture as well. It came from a rapper named Skrilla, and he had one line in there which he says meant nothing. And so he says, I'm glad it doesn't mean anything. Glad they're enjoying it. So it's just one of those crazy viral trends, which made me think, why would I put it in the dictionary? I think I would hold off on putting that in the dictionary, but dictionary.com.
Dictionaries need clicks too, Callie. They need the clicks of the youth as well.
Edgar, what's yours?
I'm actually calling an audible on my lightning round. This week, a sad death in the Philadelphia area. Radio DJ Pierre Robert, who's this legendary music DJ in the Philadelphia area for a station WMMR, He died at the age of 70 this week. He was on the air for 30-something years and remained kind of one of those last throwback DJs, somebody who really loved music, who had enough capital that even as there was all kinds of purchasing and consolidation of radio stations, he still had enough capital to be able to program his own show for the most part, expose people to all kinds of different music. So really awesome dude, and very sad loss for the Philadelphia music area.
We're sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
My lightning round this week doubles as a PSA. The ICA, the Institute of Contemporary Arts, announced this week that all visual, performing, and literary artists living and working in Massachusetts have free admission to the ICA.
Wow.
You know how strongly I feel
know.
about free admission.
Right.
I think this is a wonderful gesture, especially for a contemporary art museum filled with the work of living artists. To open it up to all of the artists of all stripes in Massachusetts is fabulous. If you have any question about proving your identity as an artist, you can just email them. Otherwise, you can go onto their website and submit through an application. So again, all artists living and working in Massachusetts, you have free admission to the ICA.
That's awesome.
now.
That is good.
That is great.
Well, a reminder that our Wednesday watch party is this coming Wednesday. This is our new segment where we choose a film to rewatch and invite you to call in or visit us here at our BPL studio to share your thoughts. Thanks to Culture Show listener Brian Tinger, we'll be talking about Back to the Future because, as Brian reminded us, November 5th, 1955 was the seminal date in history when Doc Brown invented the flux capacitor, and it's the date Marty McFly traveled back to in the first movie. So we want to help you out. Back to the Future is back in theaters now for its 40th anniversary, starting today with screenings at theaters all throughout Boston. And beginning tomorrow, it's added to Netflix along with all of its sequels. And speaking of which, tune in to the Culture Show on Monday for actor Crispin Glover. He is joining us to talk about his new film, and he'll share his behind-the-scenes stories of starring in Back to the Future.
Awesome.
Just in time for our Wednesday watch party. Kelly, we just have a couple seconds. Quickly, what's on Under the Radar?
Full hour of mass politics profs reviewing the last year of President Trump's administration. He was when it won the election a year ago.
Wow. Sounds great
Yeah.
to listen to. Thanks today to Culture Show intern Avery Morin, today's engineer Bill Piacatelli, the BPL technical and logistics crew, Maddie Geyer, Bill Francis, Sandra Lopez-Burke, Juan Jose Cadena, Chris Hanks, Pat Lally, and Olivia Corcio. Thanks to the Newsfeed Cafe. Thank you to everyone who came down here today.
Woo-hoo!
I'm Jared Bowen. Don't forget to have a fun and frolic amok tonight. Have a very Hocus Pocus Halloween.
The Culture Show is made possible in part by a generous contribution from the Fiducia Fund, proud to support this station's arts and culture programming.
Where's Mary? Where is she? Where is she? She's just about to close up the library!
Daniel Barenboim and Staatskapelle Berlin with Schumann's Fourth Symphony.